Sing whoa. Hear my plea, oh dear. A song from my land. Rose up early this morning to the sounds of crying. Another mother shedding her tears. Oh yeah. Why all the pain and suffering? Why all the senseless killing? Could it be that nobody cares? Oh no. So many sons lost in the slaughter, blood running in the streets like water. A gun in hand knows no friend. No. Warmongers selling death in my land, getting rich off the souls of we children. Can you tell me when will it end? How many more must carry this load? Oh, how many more? How many more? How many more? Before we trot down Zion Road. How many more? Sing wayo, 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 wayo. Heavenly Father, won't you hear my plea? Send a happy hand for the country. In man, there's no solution. No. I'm begging for the children's future. Oh, Jah, drugs got them by the collar. How can we stop this mind pollution?
Why must we carry this load?
Too many starving and too many hungry. Too many homeless souls in the city. It seems like there's no hope. No hope. Too many big shots and too much connections. Too many loopholes in Babylon system. But yeah, how can your children go? How many more, Jah, must carry this load? How many more, Jah, before we trot Zion Road? Sing with me. How many more, Jah, must carry this load? How many more, Jah, before we trot Zion Road? How many more? How many more? How many more? How many more, Jah?
How many more? How many more?
How many more? How many more?
My children. How many more? How many more?
Won't you hear my plea?
How many more?
I'm down on bended knees, oh Jah.
How many more? How many more? My children.
Sing whoa. Hear my plea, oh Jah. A song from my land. Rose up early this morning.
Oh, wow, 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 wow. Well, let me welcome you to the Marcia Week show this Monday evening, 16th of September. What a joy it is for me to be back with you tonight and to be here sharing with you. Trust you're picking me up okay. Trust you're hearing and seeing a okay with the show We're looking forward to a great show, another great show. We'll be touching on a number of issues.
Sing whoa.
Okay, so I know we have a session to do the advertising for some of the things that are going to be upcoming, but this is a critically important event, and I'll share with you about it in just a few minutes. But let me welcome all of you this evening to this show. All of you, I know I've been missing. I have not been AWOL. I haven't been missing in action. I've had to take a bit of a break. I've had a very hectic schedule because I'm covering so many different areas. But it's a real joy to be back with you tonight, and good to see all of you. There's so many of the names that I've watched as we've been going through the beginning of the program tonight, and the beautiful song. I really like that song, and it speaks volumes. And I'm going to be touching on a number of aspects in a few moments to do with this whole matter of crime. But first, let me welcome all of you, born again, Emerson Babb, and I think I saw Sir Alfred Benjamin. Great to be back with you again, Tamika and Jacqueline Aline. I'm looking for Marcia because Marcia always keeps me on my toes when it comes to the national anthem. Sylvia Rock, and great to have you all back with us tonight. Nat Grant, Erwin Nurse, Teroni Hall, and CG. Great to have you back with us tonight. And I hope you're sharing, please share, share, share so that we have others joining us. Tamika Harper, great to have you as well. Marlon Brathwaite, and Sandra Brewster, good evening to all of you. Beverly Prescott, Michael Gills, Roslyn Hughes. Oh my goodness, so many of you. Great to have you with us again this evening, and so nice to be back with you. I really have appreciated being a part of this tremendous program, this tremendous show. And I will tell you, yes, I have missed being on the show, but I had to take that break because of how much I really am covering. Many of you may not be aware, but there are two international organizations that I represent, and we do a lot of training across the world, and I'm very actively involved with them as well as our ministry. And of course, my family. I actually had the moment of August to take with my family to get away with my wife, and so glad to be back with you tonight. But we have some very serious matters to engage this evening, and I'm going to speak, as you know, quite passionately about the things that are happening in our country, things that are happening around us, and we're hearing nothing. And it's just simply unacceptable. And I want to reference a couple of things tonight that I've experienced over the past couple of hours. I've been spending a lot of time trying to catch up on the videos that you would have had with Marcia and with Mr. Morris and Caswell, Rose, Mr. Murray, and the young people. Oh my goodness. I was just so blessed to hear the young people and to hear their concerns. And I really want to say, thanks to all of you for just supporting the show and being here and sharing with the people of Barbados the truth and the facts. Now, just today, as a matter of fact, before I even get into today, it's what 7:08. Before I get into today, let me commence this segment with our national anthem and with the national flag. Of course, I have my flag right here behind me. This is our nation, our national flag. And I'm going to ask Dave to just prep that national anthem, and we're going to do that. And then I'll come back and begin to share with you for the segment that I have before we bring all of our guests in this evening, that we can, honor our country. That's the reason we're here. We are here for the benefit of our country. And I want to thank all of you in the loyal opposition for supporting our nation and standing with our nation. And I'm deeply appreciative of the non-political position that you have embraced and you have, engaged. And I'm really, really grateful for the fact that you're looking out for what is in the best interest of Barbados. And I'm deeply appreciative of that, as I'm sure all of the other presenters on the show are. And of course, we know Marcia. So, Dave, I'm just going to ask you to play that national anthem for us. And of course, right after that, I'll be sharing our national pledge. So Over to you, Dave, for that national. Amen, amen, amen. Strict guardians of our heritage, firm craftsmen of our faith. Now, join me as we collectively share our national pledge. I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living to do credit to my nation wherever I go. That's the commitment that we have to do credit to our nation wherever we go. And I must confess that in the time I've been off and coming back and observing the number of things that have happened even here in our country, in Barbados, I must say that it is deeply concerning what is happening in Barbados right now. My goodness, man, over the weekend, we have had approximately 5 deaths as a result of gun violence in this country. And that is simply not adequate, not satisfactory, nothing of the sort. Now, listen, I posted something Marcia sent to me this morning concerning, sent to us in the team concerning these whole matters that have happened over the weekend. And she pointed to the fact that we are not hearing a word from government. You're not hearing it from the press and all the lackeys and all that. So I posted that on my Facebook page. And would you believe that a political lackey of the Barbados Labour Party had the audacity to attack me for posting that and talk to some nonsense about me being a pastor? I should know better. And that I'm just trying to remember, because I really got quite irate, to be honest with you. Me being a pastor should know better. And I should be dealing with the solutions, and I should not be trying to score political points. And I really responded to the individual in equitable terms. I said, scoring political points. First of all, I'm not a politician. Secondly, as a minister, we have been working with our young people around the clock for donkey years in this country. I know many pastors who have joined with me and whom I have joined with, who have been working down through the years with our young people on the streets, where government does not go after an election campaign, hit the streets and find out what's happening on the streets. And we have been helping parents, children, mothers, fathers down through the years. And I had to tell the person, it's amazing how you change your mouth when the shoe is on the other foot. The person had the audacity to suggest to me that when I was a member of the Barbados Labour Party, I wore the same shoes. And I said, yes, I did, but my shoes have not changed, because she was suggesting that what I was doing because I wasn't getting anything out of this. I have never, my family has never wanted anything out of any political party, and as a result of our contribution to this country in any way, shape, or form. My mother was an educator. You've heard me share on this show already with Marcia. My mother was an educator. There's a school in Boscobel named after her, the Edna Nichols Center. That's my mother. My sister was a career diplomat. She didn't go begging and asking for that. Her skills and her ability afforded her the opportunity to be a vice consul of Barbados to Toronto. My brother ran in the general election. I can't remember the year now. I think it was 1919. Either 81 or 86, when nobody wanted to run in St. John against Errol Walton Barrow, the Right Excellence Errol Walton Barrow. He took on the mantle to do so, and it resulted in him sitting in the Senate. We have never gone looking for anything, and I, least of all, I am looking for nothing. Have never been, and I'm not interested in looking for anything from any political party for being able to contribute to my country. And I took her to task on the matter. And I said, you know what? You need to go and listen to the comments that your Attorney General made when he was in the opposition. And don't talk foolishness to me about us now expressing our concerns now that we are speaking with regards to this matter. And you know what I've realized? That is why they're pushing the cybercrime bill so hard. Because they don't like criticism. They don't like their feet to be held to the fire. They don't like to have to give an account. They don't like to have to give answers for their failure to respond, or the type of responses that they give. And our educational system, the debacle that is existing at the moment in our schools with our principals, 16 principals, come on, man, have resigned from primary and secondary schools. And you're going to tell me we don't have an educational crisis? What madness are you telling me? In other words, what I am saying, and I know one of the wonderful young ladies on the show Sunday night made mention of the fact that she didn't think that the Minister of Education had to resign, but that she should be fixing the mess that she has created single-handedly. She has created. We have never had a worse Minister of Education than the one we currently have in this country. And I make no apologies for saying that, because when you look at the state of affairs in this country educationally, not just around the Caribbean, we have had the worst results from what I have been made to understand in all of our examinations. Even the Barbados Community College is having to revamp its position because of the very low grades relative to mathematics. And we saw that expressed recently. So, I understand that in the commercial sector, in the private sector, if somebody was presiding over a business that had the number of failures and challenges and debacles that we have seen in the Ministry of Education, they would have been fired. They would have been laid off. And that is why I have a significant degree of disappointment with the members of Parliament that are sitting in the government, because they should be holding the Prime Minister's feet to the fire. They should be holding the Minister of Education's feet to the fire. Just because she's the Prime Minister doesn't mean that in Parliament you cannot criticize her, and that members of Parliament who ought to know better. And don't tell me they don't know better. They have grown up in this country. They have been beneficiaries of our educational system. And I will say this. As a part of the program that I am involved in internationally, we teach how education is exceptionally contributory to the alleviation of poverty in many environments. We talk about health education, and I heard Mr. Morris mention it. I think it was in the show last night. I heard Mr. Morris mention the fact, either last night or Friday night, he mentioned the fact that education also contributes to the reduction in deviant children, deviant young men and young women getting involved in the things that we are seeing at the moment. And I remember my mother was involved in a a system that government introduced at the time where children were coming out of school very early. I think it was somewhere around 14 years old or something like that. And then she was a part of a program that was started by the Charles F. Broom School in that area. And she was asked to head that department, that area that took the children back in and carry them on to the next level, 16 or 17 years old, I believe it was. It's been a long time ago, and I may not have all of my facts correct, but that is the reality of it. But you see, that is why they want this cybercrime bill so badly, so that people will not be able to come on programs like this on YouTube, Facebook, and expose the lies and expose the incompetence of a government and ministers and the prime minister. I make no apologies for it, because you are leading the matter. You are the head of the stream, and you should be holding your ministers' feet to the fire when they are failing in our system. And it is clear that we have a I don't even know how to describe it, a significant failure in the context of the operations. We have this debacle with the sewage situation that they have tried to get themselves out of 40-something, 9 point something million Barbados dollars, and we can't see the results of it. And they're trying to tell us that they did not take out the funding from the Caribbean Development Bank. And we know that is not true. You may have stopped it, but you started it. And we're asking you to answer the questions that were asked. You are obligated to the people of Barbados, just like how you got on the press and you responded to what Mr. Kimar shared. You need to get on the press and respond to what the people are asking you, and give us an itemized line item account of how you spent the $50 million for Kensington, how you spent the $60 million for the whole project, how you spent the $89 million for the sewage development aspect on the South Coast. These are questions you're going to have to answer to the loyal opposition and to the people of Barbados. And here's the reason. Here is the reason. Your Public Accounts Committee does not want these matters looked into. So we, the people, now have to become the Public Accounts Committee, and you are going to have to answer to the people of Barbados. And I'm not making any apologies for this. The time for playing party politics in Barbados is over. You are dealing with the future of our country. You're dealing with the future of our children. You're dealing with the future of our grandchildren. And we are not going to anymore sit idly by and allow you to do as you please in a one-party state because you have 29 out of 30 seats. You feel you can do what you like. You can't. And you cannot. You are not elected to office to do what the globalists are telling you to do, what China is telling you to do, what the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization. We just had the United States Congress slap the World Health Organization in its face and make it clear you're not coming into the United States and taking over the sovereignty of this country whenever we have a pandemic or an international health crisis. But they want to do it here. And our leadership is buying into all this crap, all this nonsense. In my view, we did not elect you to represent international interests. We elected you to represent the interests of the people of this country. And I'm calling on people in constituencies. When you have a constituency meeting, I'm calling on all the people who are upset with the processes of Barbados now to attend. And you are not going to know what they're going to ask you, and you're going to have to answer the questions the people are requiring you to answer. And so I'm just going to leave it at that, because I'm going to tell you, I am not pleased with what I am seeing in the educational system. My grandchildren, and I'm telling you this straight, my grandchildren up until the day of admission had not been able to go to the sessions that would familiarize them with the Barbados Community College. As a matter of fact, one of mine did not even get the notification of acceptance until the day or day before, the night before she was scheduled to go into community college. How in the name of peace could that be an acceptable norm? Think about the parents whose children were not accepted, who only learned the night before Barbados Community College was about to commence. What do you think they are going to be left now to do? Now they have to go and try and figure out and spend significant sums of money now to realign their children as a result of the incompetence of an educational ministry under the leadership of an incompetent minister of education. And that is why they want the cybercrime bill, because they want to shut up our mouths. They want to put a muzzle on our mouths, just like they are doing in the UK. You all remember those 3 children that were killed, the riots that happened there, how those riots went on YouTube and Facebook and all the different social media. And you will remember the police commissioner in Scotland Yard in London. It led to the prosecution of someone there because they shared the video on their social media platform. And that stupid, ignorant commissioner of police is going to suggest that he's going to be going after anybody who does this in the future where the UK is concerned, whether they are UK citizens or not. What madmen do we have, mad people do we have in government and in the political and in the police departments of some of our countries? Are these people possessed by some demonic spirit or something? What in the name of God is wrong with them? It is as if they're trying to say that the only accurate news that you have is from the government. And I once heard Ronald Reagan say that the scariest words to ever hear enter one's ears is that I am from the government and I'm here to help you. Well, we don't need your help. What we need you to do is get out of the way and let the people do what needs to be done, because clearly you are not able to get it done. And I am telling you right now, I am supportive of any political party or person who is going to be looking out primarily for the interests of Barbados and the Barbadian populace. We have had enough of this foolishness down through the years, and it has to come to an end. We are looking at some 5 murders over the weekend, 5 deaths of young men, hopeful young men who had dreams and visions, and you had them because of your incompetence. And I blame you. Don't tell me don't blame you. Dave, you have that video I asked you to hold for me with the former Attorney General. If you do have it, Dave, I want to ask you to play it, because I want the people to hear what the then opposition to the government of the day, who is now the Attorney General, I want you to hear what he had to say. So, Dave, if you have it, please play it for me.
Barbados used to be a place of safety and sanctuary. Not so more. Not so anymore. How many firearm shootings have we had for the year? How many did we have last year? The lives of our young men are being destroyed through guns, through violence. The principal of Dodds in July of last year said that 4 of the young men who had been killed in the last 6 weeks had passed through his hands.
All right, I don't know if the video has stuck, but I know Dave will deal with that. But listen to what he said. We used to be in a place of safety and sanctuary. Now you're hearing of all this gun violence. Well, I want somebody in the chat to tell me, has it got better or has it got worse? Because this gentleman is the current Attorney General. And if he is going to have the audacity to stand on an election platform and say what he is saying here, then he ought to be able to come to the people of Barbados tonight. Tonight, if he wants to come on this program, he is welcome to come. I think he would know how to reach Marcia, and Marcia will give him the link to be able to come in on the program. But tonight, he needs to come to the people of Barbados and explain to them what he was criticizing back then during the election campaign. But you know what I've learned? I heard a particular Democrat during the current election in the United States of America make a statement concerning one of the candidates that is running. And he said that the person who was running for president, even though they are not progressive and they've changed and whatnot, they are saying what is necessary for them to win the election. And therein, my brothers and sisters of the loyal opposition, therein is the foundation of politics. People tell you when the campaign is on what is necessary for you to hear them say so they can win the election, but they never intend to do what they promise you to do. They never intend to do it. And when they get into office, boom, they go and do something else. Well, let me tell you, I am not going to sit idly by and allow that to happen any further in Barbados without raising my voice. We had the cybercrime bill come before us. And then, of course, we now hear all the nonsense about the charges going from 70,000 to 100,000 and 7 years to 10 years to frighten and intimidate the people. Well, you can't build a jail big enough for nearly 180,000 Barbadians. I'd like to see you do that. But let me move on here quickly because I want to alert you of a few things that are going to be happening in Barbados over the next several days. First thing I want to share with you has to do with a solemn walk, and that's one of the reasons actually I'm still wearing my white tonight. We had a solemn walk a couple of Saturdays ago, and I was present in that walk, and I was honored to be a part of that and to listen to the young people sharing in terms of what they would have wanted to share. And so we will be having another solemn walk. This will be solemn walk number 2 for an end to gun violence. This will happen on the 22nd of September. That is this coming Sunday, 2024 at 3 o'clock. And this will be beginning from outside of Freedom Park, that is across the street from the Old Empire Theater by Freedom Park. And it will be proceeding to Nelson Street and on to Wellington Street. And I believe it will be coming right back out and coming back to Freedom Park again. And we're going to be asking you to wear white and to bring some non-perishable food items. And this solemn walk is going to be hosted by the Barbados Concerned Citizens, the Praise Academy of Dance, the Walk Holy, the Loyal Opposition, the Marcia Week Show, the Rastafari, Progressive Movement, and the Spiritually Aware Group. And so this is going to be happening this next Sunday. That is this coming Sunday. It's going to be happening, and this is going to be commencing from right outside of the Freedom Park, opposite across the street from the Empire Theater. So we want you to be a part of this, and if you wish to be in touch with us, you can give us a call at 236-7000. That is 236-7000. But that's not the only thing I want to alert you to. I also want to alert you to event called the Let's Glow Together for Peace. This is an event that is hosted by the mother of Therese Caesar. She lost her son due to gun violence. I was present at the very first event she held in honor of his passing, and they're presenting White Opulence, Let's Glow Together. And this will be happening the day before the solemn walk on Saturday, the 21st of September. It will be at 5:45, and they're asking that you be seated at 7 o'clock. The location will be the Sea Rocks Dome in Maxwell Christchurch. So they're asking you to come prepared to unwind in your all-white attire as we unite in peace and togetherness, and as we recognize the International Day of Peace in remembrance of the lives lost and the world at large, and in their efforts to combat gun violence worldwide. They ask you please to be prepared to be serenaded by special performances on a live band throughout the evening. And if you're interested in attending that, I'm going to ask them to put up the numbers for you, 236-0663 or 243-3410. Those numbers again, 236-0664 or 243-3410. And they're asking you to do that. You can do that from Thursday, actually that has actually begun already. So give them a call to reserve your place there. And also, finally, for this moment, I want to inform you of a very important process, and that is an online area of registration against gun violence in Barbados. And I can't remember who are the hosts of this, but what they're doing is that they are, oh wow, what they're doing is that they are um, making it possible for a 24-hour, 7-day prayer and fasting vigil for Barbados and its fight against gun violence. So they're asking you to take an hour from 6 o'clock in the morning all the way back to 10 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock the next morning, I'm sorry, and for you to register. And again, I'm going to actually try to see if I can put it in the chat, if I can find it here and copy it and put it here in the chat, that you can go and register for this vigil, for this prayer vigil. Just let me see if I can get that done. You know, in some instances, they tell me I'm monkey handling gun. So to be honest with you, sometimes when it comes to the technology, I'm a bit like that. All right. So I've tried to put it in there. I haven't seen it come up here yet. I just did. I'll post it again and see if it comes up, and you can tell me if you see it. Um, I think yes, I see it on YouTube. So I'm going to put it again anyhow. I have it in there, so I'm going to put it again so that you can register for one of the hours, one of the times, from 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. And it doesn't matter how many people have registered for that time. Whatever time you are able to give for that hour to pray and fast, at least, you know, for a meal, something of that nature, for our country. All right. And knowing that Barbados is a faith-based nation. Okay, we believe in God, and our national anthem has enshrined that. The Lord has been the people's guide for past 300 years. Okay, so we want you to be able to be a part of what God is going to do. And you know, I must tell you, in spite of all that I've shared with you, I believe God is going to restore our nation. I believe that He loves this country, and He is going to look after the well being of this country, because there are praying people in this nation. There are people who have this country's interest at heart. And I understand from my faith that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the people and all that dwell therein. So He has a vested interest in the people He has created. And I'm going to tell you this: when the wicked rule and the people groan, He at some point is going to act. Of that you can be sure. All right. So, and just one other announcement I want to make quickly as well, and it has to do with the Praise Academy of Dance. They are beginning their sessions on the 21st of September, and you're able to register with them. You can give them a call at either 236-7000, that's 236-7000, or 244-4355, 244-4355. And during the evening, what I'll try to do is I'll try to put the information in the chat here for you, that you can follow through on it. But they offer classes in ballet for ages 3 to 12, the modern dance ages 6 to 12, Afro pop ages 8 to 20, and dance fusion, that's an open class. Okay, and you have special auditions for the Speak Live production. It's a 10-week program commencing September the 21st. All right, so I try to remember those things. I am going to try to put the information into the session here tonight. And as a matter of fact, I see, Dave, they've had a bit of a problem. They had an electrical cut. I don't know if that was Light and Power, if they literally deliberately asked them to cut the power, because I hope they don't cut mine, because you can't put anything past these people anymore. You know, we see this being played out around the world, folks. This is not a joke anymore, and it's time Barbadians take a stand. Yes, peace. I think some of the churches beginning to wake up. There was actually an event held by the Pentecostal Assemblies of the West Indies in the Bay Street Esplanade, I think last weekend or weekend before. They had it there in the Bay Street Esplanade opposite the government headquarters. So there you have the flyer for the Praise Academy of Dance. Okay, and I don't know if you can make it a little bigger, Dave, that they can see the communication information with the phone numbers. I'm going to try myself to see, because I think I did copy the information. So if I can get it, I will certainly put it into the chat so that they will be able to follow up with that. I'm just going to copy the link and put it in the chat, and so you all can follow the link and you can register, you can inquire with the Praise Academy of Dance. And of course, there you would see the White Opulence event, the Therese Caesar Foundation event. Again, this his death was as a result of gun violence, and so we want to encourage you to support that effort. And of course, the Solemn Walk number 2, which you would see again on the flyer, commencing from the outside of the Freedom Park. I just put that one back, Dave, for the Freedom Park. We'll come back to this one. Okay, since you have that so big, that's fine. That's okay. You can see the numbers you have to call there, folk. 236-7000, 244-4355. Sifa House, Upper Kalama Rock. And the office hours are Monday to Saturday, 9 o'clock to 3 p.m. Give them a call so that you can look to register your child or children for dance classes, if that is their leaning, that is their skill. All right. So just want to let you know of all these things that are happening. And let me say, you know, as I listened to the show on Sunday, and I was listening to the contribution made by Mr. Bobby Morris, he spoke about the matter of education contributing to the reduction of crime and violence and gun violence, because he talked about, you know, he's not aware of the children who go on to qualify, you know, who are successful in their advanced levels and O levels and so on, their CXCs, becoming deviant. It's not that you won't find one or two that will, you know, there will always be some that we will call it fall through the cracks. But I want to say that our educational system, the program that I'm a part of with my international organizations, believes in the alleviation of poverty through education. And it's a fact that when education levels are substantial, when they are effective and efficient, that people can lift themselves out of poverty and make themselves prosperous and successful in life. And they just need to be given the opportunity. And it leads you to wonder, if some of these young men that have become so deviant in our society had the opportunity, would they be where they are today? Would they be on the block? Would they be influenced by persons pulling them into this deviant environment and you know, causing these deaths? I mean, I have never lived through a weekend in Barbados with 5 people getting killed. That I don't recall that. I have never. But instead of that, instead of dealing with the issues, what they want to do is develop a party mentality in our country, where they want to supplement their responsibility by holding party after party. I can't see that one too well. Pull that one a little up some more for me. Dave, that's Bongo Lights, and we'll be having him on later on tonight. And, you know, I met Bongo Lights through our efforts with the Marcia Week Show, and I found him such a wonderful young man, a man who really has the interests of Barbados at heart and the interests of the young men in his community at his heart. And he's concerned, deeply concerned with the loss of life of these young men. And I listened to them plead with the youth of our country Saturday before last, I think it was, when I was out there on the street with them. I listened to them plead. And so we see this This looks like an event that he's going to be hosting here. Too young, too hot, you know, and he's going to be talking more about that when he comes on to the show tonight. We expect him to be here with us tonight. 38 black men killed so far. 38. And we are into the what? 30 what month of the 30 what week of the year? This is madness, folk. Madness. I can't believe it. You know, the other day, I don't know if I can pull it up, but the other day I watched an article. I read an article concerning the aspect of the declining educational process and the lack of answers and clarity for the declining CXC results that are present in our country, and not only in our country, in our region, and no explanation, no accountability, you see. And it is things like this that when they're raised in our show, thank you to Ronnie Hall. Ronnie is correcting me that they're actually 40 and not 38. Well, to Ronnie, because I did hear something about someone who was wounded over the weekend passing away. I did hear about it, but it has not been confirmed. So I would have to clarify that. But Ronnie, if you can be sure of that and confirm it for me, please, because we know so far of 38. But if you can confirm for me, Ronnie, 40, please message us and let us know. All right. But this is one of the reasons they're pushing that cybercrime bill, because this is uncomfortable for the government. There are people who are going on social media. They don't want the people outside of Barbados to know what is going on. And so they are trying to use the cybercrime bill to kill free speech in this country and to muzzle us and shut us up. Now, I want us to watch a very short video while we are awaiting Rose. Rose is going to be coming on in a moment. While we're awaiting her arrival, I want you to watch a very short video that we have with regards to this. Go ahead, Dave, and run the video.
These voices play a vital role in public affairs, but criminal defamation laws can be used to shut them down. International bodies like the European Court of Human Rights and the UN Human Rights Committee view criminal defamation laws as unjust and against human rights. Many countries have already abolished criminal defamation and only deal with these issues in civil courts. Additionally, cybercrime laws like the Budapest Convention don't cover malicious communications. It's time to rethink these outdated laws and ensure they don't silence essential voices.
Imagine that. Countries have outdated this matter, has eliminated this matter, but we want to introduce it in Barbados. There are international agencies that have made it clear that they are unjust and against human rights, and that's a fact. Go read your human rights charter. People have a right to freedom of expression. And Mr. Hinkson, in case you are oblivious to the reality of what freedom of expression involves, it involves freedom of speech. Even defamation laws do not prohibit freedom of speech, but you can get prosecuted for defaming a person's character. Even if what you're saying is true, you can be taken to court. But they want to introduce draconian cybercrime legislation that, after having all the representation made in the House of in the Senate to the Joint Select Committee, after having all of that done, they want to introduce the legislation now and increase the penalties. And you're going to tell me these people are not insane? This is nothing short of evil and wicked. And that is why all of them need to be voted out of office. I was going to be kind and say maybe one or two of them who I know personally could be left. But I'm saying that all of them need to be voted out of office. But we don't want the country to go the direction they went. So keep a few of them in so that we can have a democratic country and that we can have a resistance to this autocratic dictatorial mentality that we have in this country today. Well, I see, I believe I see Rose in the house with me. I've chatted quite a bit with you. We did have a little problem with our electricity over by Dave and you know, the team. We have everything back now, I believe. So, Rose, I don't know. I'm just waiting for you to open up your camera. And I don't know if you can open up your camera or your microphone and join me. But there you are. Rose, it's
Hello.
so good to see you. I haven't seen you, as we would say in the old days, since Adam was a lad. It's so
Not so
good to
long.
see. Yeah,
Not so
it's
long,
been a
but it's
while. I think
good.
about a month and a half. I think it is. But it's so good to see you, and we're looking forward to your contribution tonight. We always look forward to your wonderful presentations that you make, so informative and so detailed. All right, so we have just a few minutes with you though,
Yes.
because I'm hosting, but I am accountable to others.
Yes, I am
But
too.
so
I
we
am
have
too.
about 15 or 20 minutes, so let me get out of the way and let you go right ahead. So it's really good to see you.
Thank you. Before I do, does Marcia have her electricity or
I
be
believe so. I believe they do have it back. I am pretty sure she confirmed that with us. So yes, we do have it
because
back.
if they do, I would like them to start the clip. And I'm going to pick up from where we left off on Friday night
Yes.
on matters pertaining to education, starting with this clip. And before I do allow me to extend courtesies and greetings to the viewers, as I usually do. Good evening, loyal sons and daughters, all firm craftsmen of her faith. And I would like us to turn our attention this evening to what Minister Kim McConney says about what can happen to public servants, what can happen to MPs, that no one is exempt or sheltered from being shifted or from being removed. Pay very close attention to her remarks on that, and I'll pick up from there. Thank you.
That said, Chief Education Officer, are you in a position to inform the public as to the shifts that will be made ahead of Monday's start of the official school term, or will that be coming out later?
And I will ask you for clarity. What shifts are you talking about? Because as we speak, the principals are aware of where they will be going. They have already been assigned. So I'm trying to understand the question. Oh, you want to know the new assignments, but you didn't ask that. Okay. We can give you that information a little later. I wouldn't utilize this press conference because there are certain principals at the secondary level that were shifted and principals at the primary level, and there are quite a number of them. All right, so we will give you that information. All right. You already got it. You're pressing, and you're pressing so much.
As chief is searching for the information, and she said she'd be happy to share it with you a little bit later. You understand that our public servants work for the government of Barbados, and even ministers, even permanent secretaries, deputy permanent secretaries can be moved at any point in time. And there is no entitlement of anyone to stay any one place. And so while the deployment must be made in a far better, more professional fashion, understand that the movement or the transfer of people, it's not a big deal. It is part of the process of running a national system of education where we will seek to assign persons where it is suited. So I hope that when the chief finally gets the information and is able to share, that you would recognize that a shift does not mean anything other than that you are part of a national pool of resources in a public service where we're all transitioned.
Thank
to
you.
new
I think that
situations.
we can pause there. And I know that we always say this, Pastor Ferdy, that ministers work for government. Ministers work for the people. Someone asked, when are you moving, Kate? And she said, these persons that she cited, permanent secretaries, parliamentary secretaries, ministers, can be moved at any point. There is no entitlement. She said it. And therefore, I am going to build a case on this pronouncement because we have had opportunities for the minister to get it right, and she hasn't. And we have found that within this particular government, nobody gets fired, nobody gets reprimanded unless it is some person down the line, some person who cannot who cannot talk back, who that public servant who gets shifted, like the principals or the teachers who get shifted are everybody's whim and fancy. We heard emphatically from the Prime Minister that Sanshia Bradshaw would not be fired for the misdemeanor. And we are seeing cases where there are foul-up bleeps and blunders within the administrative level, and there is no reprimand. Even persons who have been appointed as CEOs, they are rewarded for their failure or their lack of performance with even overseas posting. It seemed that in this government, the worse you perform, the greater your reward, the greater you are, the greater you're rewarded. So I know it wasn't to be on this evening, but so I had to rush this one. And I did a research on ministers of education who were fired. And I looked at a case study, actually, and I titled it case study, and I'll move quickly on this.
Yeah, because we do have, and sorry to be so tight with you for tonight, but we do have Kimar
yes,
prepped and ready for in just about 5 minutes. So quickly. We can come back to this. We can come back to this probably on Wednesday as well, because I can tell you, Rose, this is not going to go away quickly, very quickly. And pardon again the interruption.
To wrap up on this one.
But pardon the interruption with me for a minute, though. But we've just had some breaking news, Rose.
Yes,
that we've had another shooting in Christchurch tonight. Starcom News understands that a gunman approached a man and fired several shots into the victim. The condition of the shot man is uncertain at this stage. The location of the shooting is near Silver Sands, which is one of the areas identified the police as being a part of an ongoing gang feud. So that's breaking news right here on the Marcia Week Show. So go ahead, Marcia. We have to wrap in about 5 minutes and bring Kimar in. I'm so sorry to have to rush you through tonight, but we'll come back to you probably on Wednesday.
So do I continue, or do you want to move on to the breaking news?
No. That breaking news is done. You move ahead with as much as you can cover in the next 5 minutes.
Yes, I will just read from the slides. I know the audience can follow.
Yes.
And Estelle Morris was a minister in the Department of Education and Employment in Britain in 1997. I was promoted to Secretary of State for Education and Skills in 2001. and she resigned
Wow.
because she felt she wasn't up to the job. I wish
Wow.
that we could get that admission coming from our end. And in a letter to Tony Blair, the Prime Minister, the Labour Prime Minister, she signaled that problems running her huge department and clashes with the media had led her to resign. Next slide quickly. In her resignation letter to Labour MP Mr. Tony Blair, she said, all this has meant that with some of the recent situations I have been involved in, I have not felt I have been as effective as I should be. Again, I wish this would be a confession and admission from our Minister of Education. She suddenly resigned her post in October 2002, explaining that she did not feel up to the job. Actually, she had made a commitment to the then Conservative Shadow Education Secretary David Willis to resign if the literacy and numeracy targets were not met. Accountability. In 1999, as Education Minister, she said she would resign if government failed to meet its targets on numeracy and literacy in 2002. We do not hold governments and MPs and ministers to be accountable and to targets. So here are some responses. The Shadow Education Secretary, Damian Green, said, Estelle Morris's failure is the failure of the government's education policy. Her resignation is welcome, but overdue. She has lost the confidence of parents and pupils in her ability to run her schools. Is that not our scenario here?
Absolutely,
And not
Rose.
only parents and pupils, but the general public. We are hearing outcries that we're not satisfied. What did the Liberal Democrat leader say? I am personally sorry for Estelle Morris. Her resignation is an opportunity for a fresh start for the government's entire approach to the education system. Don't we need a fresh start?
Absolutely.
We do.
Absolutely.
In fact, we haven't had a proper start because with Sanchia Bradshaw, the first Minister of Education, what happened? And then when KEMAR was transferred, what happened or has not happened or happened that should not have happened? And Fiona Stubbs, the daughter of the gentleman who managed, she messed up the A-level results in Britain at that time. And just like with this recent scholarship and exhibition, where they said they delayed the results and said like, oops, we don't want to go back to the drawing board. Well, Estelle Morris had some oops, messed up the A-level results under her tenure, and that is what, and she sacked the chairman who was overseeing the results, and because it came out as a scandal, and his daughter said she was pleased with the resignation news. Oh, we would be pleased too.
Oh, yes.
She
said, pleased we would be.
I'm glad, listen to this one, I'm glad she examined her conscience. I'm just surprised
it took her so long.
It took her. And I think there's one more slide.
Dear.
And I'm finished. Or is that the last? Maybe
last. I think that might be the last, Rose.
I have built.
Oh, here it is.
It.
And no, that's the same one. That's the same one.
And Pastor Ferdy, there have been there are other comments. I sourced this from the BBC News back then. I sourced it from the Guardian News, and the Guardian News is it's not a tableau. It is what you call a proper upper end
newspaper.
newspaper, and
Yes.
I believe my sources are credible. And not only did they all of them carry the same comments basically, and so I am saying that we have a case here too. But the thing is, Tony Blair, he accepted the resignation with some consternation and but this woman was a teacher, and she understand and empathized with teachers, and she knew she fouled up and messed it up amongst her own, and so she resigned. What did the first slide says? She resigned for not being able to do the job.
What? Yes,
we
absolutely.
are seeing our own Minister of Education fouling it up, not being able to do the job, resign. Education cannot be thrown about like a hot potato or something hot in our hands. It has to be handled carefully and skillfully and effectively. And it's about time that parents, not only the Marcia Week show and those who have consternation and concern, but parents now, the public beyond this show should say, petition government and say, we're not satisfied. Minister Kim Haqqani resigned. But then again, our leader, the Prime Minister, seems to reward for inept conduct, behavior, performance.
Well, obviously,
you get a higher post or you're shifted. Thank you so much.
Obviously, Rose, you and I would not get promoted if we were in that government. But before I shift quickly to Kimar, and thank you so much. As brief as it is, it was pungent and powerful because what it showed was the integrity in Miss McCollins. Is that her name? The integrity of that individual to acknowledge the fact that it was her failure and she resigned. Now, Kay McConney said something, and I want to leave the people with this. She talked about how the public service works for government, and there is no entitlement for persons in the public service. I want to remind Ms. McConney that the government works for the people, and there are no entitlements for the government either. So let us be clear on those matters. The same way public servants can be moved, governments can be moved as well. So
there's no entitlement.
No, there's no entitlement. So Rose, thank you so much. You can always stay right on here because I'm excited to hear what Kimar is going to be blowing us away with tonight. But I want to particularly thank you. Brief as you have been, Rose, it has been very pungent and very critical. We will wait to see, although I will not hold my breath. I will not definitely hold my breath, because when the Constitution is changed to facilitate somebody who is not facilitated under the Constitution, it tells me what the leadership is intending. Well, Mr. Kimar, sir.
Thank you very much.
But you don't go anywhere. Stay with us and let's enjoy this time together. Mr. Kimar Stewart, so good to see you, sir. A real joy to have you with us again tonight. My honor to have you. We welcome you to the Marcia Week Show. We are excited to hear what you're going to be sharing with us tonight. And so just unmute your mic, sir, and greet the people. And we are ready to hear from you.
Good night, Pastor Ferdinand.
Good night. Good night.
Happy to be here with you on a Monday, break Monday, a summer Monday. Sorry to say. Just heard the sorry news that you just put forward. But I just want to share my condolences and sympathies to all of the families who continue to be impacted by the crisis of gun violence. Um, Ironically, I would have written Pastor Ferdinand from my SBA at school on guns in society and gun violence in society, and I was actually ridiculed by my form teacher at the time for choosing a topic like that and for expounding upon a topic about gun violence and guns in society. And I remember fresh to my memory Pastor Ferdinand because from all back then I saw what we are seeing now. And we had a classmate, a schoolmate who attended the same school with me. His name was Romario Lewis, and he was also shot and killed. And he had a very young daughter, and he was killed at a very young age as well. So, but I want to, say how glad I am to be here. Good night to all the members of the loyal opposition, loyal patron supporters. Thank you very much. Very good to be here. Good night to Rose. I just saw her presenting, and I just wish to say good night to Rose, a fellow SMS scholar. But what I am here, Pastor Ferdinand, was to pick up from where Marcia would have left off last Wednesday in terms of the $84 million loan. Right? I said to myself, person been asking me some questions. People went on to brass tacks a day as well this week to further expound upon the issue. So more and more questions are coming my way. But I want to redirect the public, the curious public, to a point at the ministers and ask them about the $84 million and to answer the questions that you have. I can only say what has happened from where I sit, from what I observe, economic analysis, research, whatever. But as you saw, Pastor Ferdinand, listening to Marcia's presentation, you heard that the government put out a statement refuting my claims about the cost of the outfall and whatever, right? So you have a case where even when you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you would still say, well, block your eyes, you didn't see what you see. Right. So here you have the press release again. You're attempting to say here in the release that the outfall was only costing $7 million. Thank you, government, for finally telling us after 4 years, Pastor Ferdinand. After 4 long years, we heard that it cost 7.5 million. Thank you. I never tried to argue that was the cost of the the thing, I never said $84 million was the cost of the temporary outfall. I said the borrowed loan of $84 million that is separate, right? That is separate from the $7.5 million, right?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Kimar, but they're saying that you're having a bit of a breakup on your audio, and I'm hearing an echo of my voice in your system.
All right, let me try to remedy that in a minute. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah. Okay. All right, but we're gonna have Kimar back with us while he just tries to clean up that audio, which is so important because we want to hear exactly what he has to say to us tonight. Because I did see the release. I did read what Marcia had up, and I was at a loss as to exactly what they were responding to on the basis of what Kimar had shared, and so. He didn't speak to the temporary matter of $7 million. He spoke to the permanent issue, and I'm glad that he is coming on again tonight to bring clarity to what he has said and not to answer questions that the ministers should be answering to the people of Barbados. It's a lot of money. And obviously, you know, my parents taught me that two things cannot be opposite and be true at the same time. One has to be the truth and one has to be a lie. I am not going to call out any of the government and call them liars, but what I will say is that it would appear that in some instances there are persons who are strangers to the truth and who attempt to bend the facts to play politics. And as I mentioned earlier in the program, I am tired of people playing politics with the lives and future of our country. So we want to just give Kimar the opportunity to clean up that audio. So I expect he's going to be back with us very, very shortly. As I mentioned a little earlier, we have this breaking news of another shooting in Bourne's Land, St. Christopher in Christchurch. And a gunman apparently approached another man, fired several shots, hitting the victim. And we understand that victim is uncertain. The condition of that victim is uncertain at this stage. But this would now, if that person passes away, you're back, Kimar?
Yes, can you hear me well?
No, you're still breaking up a little. It sounds like it could be the connection for the
I
microphone.
can see your mouth moving, but I cannot hear you at all.
Are you using a headset that plugs into your phone or computer?
Um,
Because if you are, you would have to just play around with the section that plugs in.
could you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you there. But you're still breaking up and going and coming. Yes.
Well, not sure what's happening here, then.
That's clean. That one is clean. Right there is clean. So whatever you do, don't touch that.
Yeah. How about now breaking up again?
Yeah, that's clean. That's clean.
Yes. Well, let's try to work with it for now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So as I was saying,
Mm-hmm.
we need to ask some serious questions about this loan, right? And this $84 million Pastor Ferdinand. The more and more we dig, and the more the government responds to the issue, it is becoming more and more evident that something uncanny has happened here, right? Now, in the government's press release that you can see on the screen, right? It says that the government canceled this loan in 2020, October 2020 to be exact, right? Now, we can do some quick maths, Pastor Ferdinand, right? The loan canceled in October of 2020. And the government claimed in this particular press release, right, that they got the loan approved in January, right? They got it approved in January. So that is a couple of months between January and October. According to the official document from CDB, right, according to the official document that was released by the CDB indicated that the government, that the disbursement period for the money, right, was from March 31st, Pastor Ferdinand, 2020, up to December 31st, 2021, right? So according to the loan agreement, and you can see here, I don't know if you could bring it up much bigger and closer. According to this loan agreement, right, the disbursements are supposed to start in March. So let us do some counting passes. A financial quarter, as you know, is 3 months, right? So we have April 2020, you have May 2020, June 2020. That is one financial quarter. July 2020, August 2020, September 2020. And there you have 2 financial quarters, which means, Pastor Ferdinand, if you go according to what this agreement is saying, this is the loan agreement that the bank of it published. Right? If you know what the loan agreement is saying, and you go from what the government published saying that they canceled the loan in October 2020, that means that the government was disbursed at least 2 financial quarters of monies. We can agree on that. Right?
Yes, we can. We can agree on that.
Right. So my question, government, and particularly the Minister of Water Resources, who is Wilfred Abrams, Pastor Ferdinand. Right? He was the person who was the chairman of the subcommittee of cabinet. Right? The subcommittee of cabinet to commission the building of these outfalls. Right? So when the Prime Minister said that Wilfred Abrams was very wise, right? That was very wise. They had to let the people of Barbados know that this so-called wisdom has us $84 million down in the whole one way, along with an additional $7.5 million that we now know about. I didn't know about that at first. I can clearly admit that. All I knew is that they were 2 separate costs. But it's 3 separate costs because the latest impacts of her barrel, remember that? And remember Dugate going down there and saying that they don't know how much the repairs cost, but the contractor's already gone ahead and done the work. Right? Which would mean that you're saying to the contractors, go there and do the work, and then rate me a quotation after. Not even a biscuit shop runs like that, Pastor Ferdinand. Hey. So additional questions need to be asked now about how much the latest repairs on the outfall, how much they cost. And that question would go straight to Minister Dugate. Right? So we have one question going to Wilfred Abrams. Right? One question going to Wilfred Abrams. Give us further information on this particular loan when you were a minister, how it was handled. Like how it was handled, and if we did or did not receive any of the disbursements, along with what you can see here as commitment fees. So it says that a commitment charge of 1% will be payable on the undisbursed balance. Right? On the undisbursed balance. Commence at 60 days after the loan agreement. So, along with the disbursements the government probably received, he also had to be paid commitment fees and charges. Right? Now, the information, Pastor Ferdinand, that I am going to share with you now is rather interesting. So I will share my screen now, so you see exactly what is happening here and how far this rabbit hole goes, in particular to this issue. Right? Now, I have put in a document here. Again, this document is CDB, right? Official documents from the Caribbean Development Bank. So, hoping that you can see my screen. Yes, everybody,
Yeah, we
can see screen.
We can
So I am just going to.
You can make it a little bigger.
I'm going to make it bigger. So it says here.
That's good.
Right. Right.
No, go back up again. Go back up and enlarge it again. Too big.
Too big, no.
right around 170, 175, I think might just be the.
Yeah.
Just move it across.
Right. I think this is it here that I need. Right.
Yeah,
So it says
that's
here, disbursement of the disbursement of CDB loan will be made in accordance with the CDB's disbursement guidelines for our CDB finance projects, January 2019. The first disbursement is projected to occur on March 31st, 2020. Member password at the council in October. A final disbursement is expected by December 31st, 2021. An estimated quarterly disbursement schedule is presented in Appendix 6.2. And I didn't think that Marcy would have shown you exactly how much money, around 26 million Barbados dollars, the government possibly received in two different disbursements at minimum. Right? So that question needs to be answered. Did the government of Barbados receive any type of monies whatsoever from the Caribbean Development Bank out of the loan before the cancellation date on the 2nd of October? Now, I'm sure you see my screen here, Pastor Fernand, and it says designated account. Right? Designated account. And someone says I'm still getting some.
Yeah, we're still
static.
getting some static, but it's not. It's been better than before, but we're still getting a bit of static.
Yeah. Static now? Still good?
But you've gone. Your voice has gone very, very low.
Right. So it says here, Pastor Ferdinand, that designated account. Like designated account. And it says that the borrower, meaning the government, shall open and maintain a designated account in accordance with CDB's disbursement guidelines for CDB finance projects. For CDB's share of eligible expenses on the project components. Right? Then it goes on to say, in addition to the designated account, the executing agency.
We're still getting it quite bad.
Executing agency shall open and maintain an operating account.
Kimar, you can hear me?
Institution in Barbados.
You can hear me, Kimar?
Acceptable to the CDB.
No, he's not hearing me. Not hearing me.
Well,
yeah, it's not getting any better, Kimar. It's I'm wondering if you shouldn't go out and come back in.
Yes, I'm gonna sign out and try back in.
Yeah, and then come back in, and let's see what happens there. All right, folks, we're going to just give Kimar a couple of minutes to do that. We want to let him finish off what he's saying there with regards to this situation. This is not one that we are happy with. We might have to come back to him at a future point. I see Bongo Lights is in. Let me see. Yeah. Bongo Lights, you're in. I'm seeing you there. Pleasure to have you joining us. Now, folk, let me just say a couple of quick things here about Mr. Bongo Lights. It's been a joy connecting with you, Bongo. I've met you through the Marcia Week show. Let me just try to bring him in here. Just want to give Kimar just a couple minutes. Bongo, there you are. Yeah, singer. My goodness, singer. I didn't know you were a singer, and I'm going to be looking forward to hearing some of your music.
Come to Bridgetown.
All right.
Bridgetown.
All right. Singer, music producer, actor, filmmaker, entrepreneur, activist. It's such a joy to have you with us tonight, Bongo. I've been happy to make your acquaintance during the marches and the show. but I understand you have some things to share with us tonight. Maybe we can come back, Kimar, to you in just a few minutes. But we have a pretty packed show tonight, so you just stay on the line there, Kimar, and we'll come right back to you. But Bongo, good to have you tonight. You're going to be speaking on this new anti-crime movie, I understand, and giving your take on the state of affairs in Barbados. So, sir, the floor is yours.
Greetings, good night to everyone, both near and far, Barbados and Caribbean and internationally. And give thanks for Marcia Weeks to allow me on the show, and Ferdinand, respect. Enough respect to Caswell and all the others, you know what I mean, that be on here. And
Yes.
all our listeners and viewers, give thanks for being here on the Marcia Week show and watching, you know what I mean? And as I will let you know what's going on pertaining to this new movie that I'm looking to release.
Mhm, mhm.
Now, this movie is called Too Young Too Hot. Now, apparently, right, some years back we had started this movie and we had finished it, but the files got missing and they were like, you know me, on a hard drive that I think, because I have many hard drives and sometimes I hide things from myself. Well, you know, so eventually I found it, and it's the wrongest time. But I see Jah work in a mystical way. The Almighty works in a mystic
Yes,
way,
he
right?
does. Yes, he
Because
does.
this movie, I was trying to release it, try to get the Stephen Lashley when he was Minister of Culture. I was telling him, I have a movie. I would like you to sit down and watch it, and you know me, see if we can get this here push, because it was dealing with the youth, you know me, getting involved. But he showed no interest, so at that time it just, you know, and I holler, well, when I'm ready, I can deal with it. So I finally get everything together, and I am about to launch it on Friday the 20th on the internet on YouTube, so
Wow.
everyone can watch. Now, normally when I produce a movie and put it out there, the shop owners and people that have businesses, they show my movie at their shop, and they make a business out of it. They get,
Mhm.
you know, a crowd, and you know what I mean. So it's because I talk to the actors and the brother Sean Campbell, you know, let him know what I'm doing. I mean, it's not about money, it's about educating these youths um, that want to get involved in criminal activity and gun related, you know what I mean, issues. So this movie is all about that, to steer the youths in the right path, on the right path. And this movie was done by the youths of Barbados. These youths that we get together and train them and to play their part, and everyone, you know what I mean, they act very well. They're seen like they had done it already, like professionals. They didn't even look in the camera. You know, like some big people, they automatically find themselves looking in the camera, directed to the camera when they're not supposed to. These youths, you know what I mean? And this is young talent that we have in Barbados. And I try to push the movie industry because I know this is another area that youths can express their talent, you know what I mean? Um in in this area. But you know, due to the government, you know what I mean, the governments, you know what I mean, they don't see it as how we see it, right? So that's why there's a lot of stagnation. You don't get the help that you would need, right? Right now, I'm down. My camera is giving problems now, and I working on a documentary on Rastafari here in Barbados, and that's gonna cost me money to get another camera. So there's a lot of challenges that we have, but
Mhm.
I don't want to go on my personal thing. I mean, the movie we are talking about Too Young Too Hot. Now, Too Young Too Hot is youths who had their their moments of getting involved in crime. They were encouraged by another, because you know, as youths, when you got a friend and he's doing something, he show you, look, boy, this way you can make money, boy, easy money, and you even though that this youth might not be a bad guy. He holla, well, all right, this is my friend, man, I can try it. And he see how easy it happens. So from there, you know, things spinel and guys get to like it. And they become obsessed with this thing. The father knowing that he just recently came out of jail and find his youth and other ones getting involved. He comes out now to bring them on the right path. Back to the right path, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So this movie does what it's called Too Young, Too Hot. You know, these youths, like they feel like they you know what I mean, they're big and they can do it like how the big guys do, and they don't care about the body. So but when it comes to the realization of it, this is what is going on right now here in Barbados. And we need to get our youths back into that concept of good, following the right path. You know what I mean? Don't go about robbing people. Don't go about shooting people innocently, whether guilty or innocent. You know what I mean? So it's a good movie. It's a great movie, and I want to thank all the actors and the all those that assist. You know what I mean? I want to give them thanks. Sean Bull, Nasus, all these guys, these great actors. You know what I mean? And we got future plans. You know what I mean? As time goes on to do more things, because we did. My first movie was called I want to go back. My first movie really was I started my movie business. My movie I make when I was 17 years old, and I was doing. I make my own projector, so I started doing. I would get a slip, clear plastic, and I would sit down in the day, and I would make the comic frames. You know what I mean? Just like you have the reel in the cinema, you know, the film, right?
Yep.
And I do it comic form, and on evenings I would go behind Cisnet PLA. When the guys see me coming up with my projector up on my shoulder, everybody stopped doing what they're doing, because that time used to be pitching, little fellas, they're gambling, trading near the lines, all kind of different things that used to be going on at that time. Everybody stopped what they're doing and I come up there and we watch, you know, my thing. So eventually when I get older and I was able to get my own still camera, I used to take still pictures, which some of them I still have up to now. Then in 1988, I got my first chance to use a video camera. And be honest, I used that camera. The guy just showed me how to operate it. And believe me, I just handled it like if I was handling a camera about 20 years. And because when I look back at the shots, I see how I film it, you know what I mean? I know that was me, you know what I mean? I was made for this. And then from there I was used to film weddings, film different activities, and I mostly used to cover Rasta events and so. And I was working on something called Real Bad Man, and Mahmood Patel came to me and asked me if I have any content that he's having a film festival, a Bridgetown Film Festival, if I have any content to submit. So I told him, I have something, but the guys, we were working on something, but the guys had a disagreement and they agreed. But I got about 20 minutes of the movie then, but that's all it's all about. So you're like, okay, don't mind, just bring it. We will explain to the people, they just tell them. So I follow Mahmood, you know what I mean, and we submitted to the film festival. And that year was the first year, I think it was 2005. And the other documentaries, you know, that he had documentaries, but there wasn't, as you know what I mean, they didn't hit home like how Real Bad Man hit home. And everybody seems to like it because they were feeling the real thing, how Barbados.
So you had a movie called Real Bad Man?
Yeah, which was it was 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Yeah, that was the first that we submit to Bridgetown Film Festival.
But let me ask you, Bongo, though, what motivated you? You know, I'm curious. What motivated you to do this particular movie, Too Young, Too Hot? What was the motivation behind it?
it was at that time. Violence was still there, criminal activity was going on in Barbados, but not at this height
At this
that we
level.
are right now. And I always know that to get people to educate people, you know what I mean, on certain things that they need to exchange, a film is needed at that point in time. You know what I mean? And that's what inspired me. And then the other guys with me, you know, and they agreed with me and such, you know what I mean? And we said, yeah, let's do it. And we get the youth to do something, you know what I mean, and make them feel proud. You know what I mean? They were all, it was like a family that time, all of them, you know what I mean? Youths. We work on it day and night. I used to be up there, you know what I mean? It come like, I used to be in that village in St. James. I can't remember the exact name that name, but I used to be in that village there. So regular, the day passed through nighttime when we shooting, sometimes day when we shooting. And it was, you know what I mean? It was a come like, that's my area, you know what I mean? I felt comfortable because the youths, you know what I mean? And they were doing.
Would you say that this is something that a lot of our young people in Barbados would be amenable to, that they would want to do, you know, acting and doing film and that kind of thing?
Yes, man. I just got approached by so much people that want to be a movie from young, old, high, for the people in banks, even police. Want to be part of my movie. Because I got this, you know, God bless me with a talent and I take it and I use it, right? I got this, like sometimes even when we are filming and we have a problem, because sometimes you do get problems, as we all know.
Yes.
Not only my one, even when some great producers came to Barbados, they were saying that sometimes they get that similar situation where somebody just want to just quit, you know what I mean, or something happened, you know what I mean, and you got challenges. I was always fast to think, you had to think fast to get because you need to get it done. Well, with this day we don't have none of the problems. All the youth were young. There wasn't grown up people that have attitudes and you know what I mean? But
you were able to deviate them away from the deviant type of behavior into something constructive.
Yes.
Yes. And because
and even though they act in this movie, and you take these guys, these youths to still live in real life, you know what I mean? To even just eat, drink together and have fun together, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So the movie, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering, you know, because I saw one or two comments about showing it, you know, in community centers. You talked about, you know, people showing it in the shops and that type of thing. But what kind of message? What would you say is the message that you want to communicate to our young people that they would take away from watching this movie? What is?
Don't get involved in this in criminal activity. Don't mind these big fellas that is spreading this war. Don't let it get to you. And because along the way, it's going to lead to death, prison, or the hospital.
Yeah.
So you got a choice now that you got things. Stay on your dreams. My dream was from 17 years old to do movies.
Stay on your dream.
And here I am in all my dreams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, so you all got. It was hard for me because it's only when computer came out in that I managed to use a computer like 2006, you know what I mean, and I think 2005, 2005 and such. But if I had in the 90s, I had a computer, and we had I would have done so much movies because that time it was more easier and it was we didn't have to worry about money so much, you know what I mean? Barbados was the more, and the cost of living wasn't that high, and people had a lot of more free time. But since the cost of living rise, you know what I mean, it scattered a lot of the actors, the ones that who was
But you said you began at around 17 years old. Yeah, but let me ask you this. I mean, because you must have had some of the same attractions and influences, Bongo, around you. What kept you, you know, moving along, even as a young man, moving away from the crime and the violence and that kind of stuff?
Okay. Let me say this. When I was 7 years old, my mother died, I used to live in Paradise Road. My mother died. So when I moved to live by her aunt. She's dead now, Elsie. God bless her soul. A very nice woman. She loved me and I love her very much. She take care of me like a mother. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
then I have my cousins and such that they all look out for me. But I had a particular cousin,
Uh-huh.
it's still alive, named Aileen.
Mhm.
She will always register in my head because she become now like the voice of my mother. But say, don't go get myself out there in the trouble and such, right? Try and keep
Mhm.
away. And she will always give me some funds, you know what I mean? Whenever she see me. And she
Yes.
had that loving smile, you know, and we create that bond, we love each other, you know what I mean? And she was a teacher too, right?
Mhm.
And so like I used to be hanging out in Bashal under the tree, and guys there started playing dominoes, gambling. Sometimes there's a lot of talk going on. But I used to be fascinated, but that you see some guys that might look like just nobody, but when they start to talk, the conversation and everybody adding in their piece, it was like a drama. So I always used to be like fascinated, you know what I mean? I try my piece too, but I was always like want to create something. I made takes the ball up my cord when I flying kite. I made those. I take while they're under the tree when I'm there gambling. I be thinking about things to do, and I will probably next week you see me come out with my invention. You believe me? Those guys was gambling, and a majority all the youths would get involved with gambling in Bashal as they come out. I only know about how to. I could have played a little romy and think, you know me, for fun and thing, but I didn't know how to trade the dice and take, because it was that never interested me, because it's look at and say, who all these men, we his friends and thing, and we just when we go we eat and drink and help and feed one another if we break. Why not we take all the money, put it together and share equally among each other? You know, that sort of things I used to be thinking, right? And I used to like thinking about becoming a singer, because I used to follow the music industry, the Dradens too.
Yes.
The original Opels. I love singing, so I used just be like, say my house when I got time, I just got a broomstick and play as a mic or bring the switch and sing. You know what I mean? But yeah,
I love that you get the broomstick. I use it like a microphone. I remember those days.
yeah.
I remember those days, Bongo,
And
when I used to set up the chairs in my mother's living room. I preached to them as a little boy, 5, 6
I had
years.
this that preaching thing too, you know. I used to go to church and I used to
Ah,
just
Terry.
Sunday, I used to just practice preaching when I home by
Yes.
myself. But the music was my thing, because I didn't believe, and I didn't believe that it would have happened with the movie thing anymore. It was more with the singing. I was directed, because when I was young, I used to go to church. I could recite a poem. When I recite a poem, I used to have everybody thinking, because I used to put everything into it, expressions and you know what I mean, into the poem, right? And people love to know when they hear me recite a poem.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I'll tell you from listening to you, what I'm hearing, and maybe this is a message that we can take away as well, is the skills and abilities that you have. Sometimes we think that it's just the academics and the academia, the people with the degrees and people's with the certificates, but there's so many young people, Bongo, on the street that are so talented and are so gifted. You talk about creating something to ball up the cord for the kite and all these kind of things. And what do you think in terms of the young people today that you see around you in terms of their skills and their abilities that could lead them out of the kind of life that we're seeing them in at the moment?
you got to have a program where youths with someone like come from among them and sit down,
Hmm.
listen to them and get a creative vibe, right? Let
Hmm.
them be free up, and you can see, because sometimes when guys youths come on me and I scan them, and I get a picture what they could do and what they can't do, and then when you talk to them and find out what they like and such, you realize that sometimes they got something in it. Somebody see somebody that got something in them, but I
Hmm.
got what it is. I got to get it out, so I work on it and bring it out. Sometimes I
Yes,
bring that a guy could be an artist, you know what I
yes.
mean? Something a guy be like drawing, and some a guy could be like dancing. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? A
Hmm.
guy I see sometimes you believe me, right? Sometimes I would you'll be walking, you'll be there, lying in the street in town, and somebody will pass, and you hear and this body singing. I heard, what's up? What's up? When you look, a woman that she, she in dress up in the fancy way, but just, you know what I mean? Just as she
Beautiful
normal clothes.
voice.
But she have a beautiful voice.
Beautiful voice. Yes, yes, yes. But this is one of the things, to be honest with you, Bongo, that I have myself highlighted, that the government needs to go in among the community. And when I say government, you have constituencies and you have parliamentary representatives. And rather than sitting in an abstract environment of parliament and making decisions and policy, you need to get out among the young people and hear what is happening among them. You look at the gifts and skills and abilities and give opportunity, because that's what government should be doing. They should be a facilitator to give them opportunity for advancement and development. So I'm so glad that you were able to share these things with us, because it's your story, and that's a tremendous story. And I'm hoping that you can come back on sometime and continue to share, because I believe that will help to inspire our young people. And I want to wish you well. You said that the movie is going to be launching on Friday. That is this coming Friday. Is that
Yes,
right?
it is.
September the 20th. Where is it launching? On YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Online?
Yeah, on
Okay.
YouTube online. I'm gonna try to also if I could get it on Facebook, which
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
might via YouTube, right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
click on it and go straight to YouTube.
Yeah.
I try TikTok and IG,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Well, why
Um,
don't you send us the links? Huh? Make sure we get the
yeah,
links, because
yeah, I'm gonna do that.
yeah,
I,
so we can put it on the chat, because we still have a show on Wednesday, and
mm,
we have a show. Well, of course, Friday might be too late in terms of the fact that you are launching
yeah,
on Friday.
yeah,
But again, we have a packed weekend, because you launch a movie on Friday. Saturday is the Therese Caesar event, and then Sunday evening we have that solemn walk from
yeah,
outside of Freedom Park. So we have a packed weekend
yeah,
with you beginning. So
yeah,
if you send us that link, Bongo, that link that we can put here, and we can put it, I can put it on my Facebook page. I'm sure
yeah,
Marcia has her page and so on as well, so that people can follow it and watch it. So we look
yeah.
forward to receiving that from you. But it's intriguing just listening to you. You carried me back a few years, to be honest with you.
Okay, okay.
And the thing that stood out to me really, as you were speaking, you said something about was it your grandmother or something like that, somebody that helped to raise you, and
My
and the
cousin, my
your
cousin.
your cousin, and the
Yeah,
thought
well,
that went through my
oh, my family raised me. One, I had a cousin that who would keep me intact mentally.
yes,
Then I
yes,
had then another cousin now that would check for me financially.
good,
Then
good,
I had, you know, others that some older folks now, just from the other side now that always research. I could go up there and I think they'd give me things to, you know what I mean? That I see eggs, and that time she give me eggs, she give me this, give me that,
yes,
you know what I mean? As a youth,
yes,
that I
yes,
can have
yes,
my
absolutely,
stuff, you know what I mean? So I want to
absolutely
thank
lovely.
them there so also for taking care of me.
Yeah,
Strikers.
well, they
Yeah,
helped to create what you are today, and the
yeah,
thing that went through my mind was that it takes a village to raise a child.
yeah.
That went through my mind, in that community that we have, where everybody's looking out for one another and looking out for one another's kids and so on.
Mm.
And I don't know that exists that much anymore in our communities. And that's, if it doesn't, it is a valuable component we need to see
You've
resurrected
got to
in
learn to got
our
respect.
communities. Yes,
You've
yes,
got to learn to
absolutely,
have respect. Respect is
absolutely.
important. I will, as a youth growing up and coming into Rastafari, I smoke marijuana, right? As you know, that's part of Rastafari
Hmm.
culture. I never smoke in front none of my elder relatives, my aunt, none of so, because I know they don't like that thing. So I never did like would take. I would always be among my brothers and sisters, brethren and sisters, but never. I got people that would be want to come and smoke in the house and do as they like. They want to respect the home. You know what I mean? I wasn't
Yes,
that kind
yes,
of person.
yes.
I respect each other, my
Mhm.
elders. That's how I get trained. So the youth city thing got to learn to respect the elders. That's why there's so much you can't tell these youths nothing in these times. They want to fly it. You could tell me what to do or curse you or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely
Unruly.
correct. Absolutely correct. You know, and a lot of it, as you know, Bongo, begins
They're
in
too
the
young,
home.
too hot.
You know, there you go, too young, too hot.
They're too young, too hot. They're too young and too hot.
Too young and too hot. Well, you know,
Yeah.
the Jesuits, I think it is, that tell you, give us a child for the first 7 years, and we'll show you the man. And so it's so important that parents and I will say extended family, you know, like what you say, cousins, uncle, aunts, and so on, realize how critically important it is to instill within the child before it reaches 7, 8 years old those values that you're speaking about, which clearly you have received. And you know, we just want to thank you so much for coming on in the program tonight and sharing. And we look forward to watching this movie. So make sure, Bongo,
Yeah, yeah,
you
we're gonna
send
get
us that
yeah,
link,
yeah,
huh?
yeah,
Make sure you
yeah,
send us that link. And I look forward to sharing Sunday evening with you as we do that solemn march. Bongo, would you
yeah,
believe that tonight we learned of another shooting in Christchurch tonight
yeah, I
while
heard.
the show was in progress? You
Yeah,
know, it's insane, Bongo, and it simply has to come to an end. You know,
yeah,
so
man. And it's not
we're
only
really.
it's
Yeah,
other
go ahead.
other Caribbean nationals that is involved with this shooting. That's where makes it worse now.
Yeah. So we really have to rein it in, you know, and all of us have a part to play. You know, the church has a part to play, the schools, the parents, the PTAs, of course, the
Block
government has a part to play.
everybody,
Everybody.
rich,
Are we going
poor.
to Yeah, are we going to lose our young people? You know, we don't want to do that. They're the future of our country and the future of our national success. So we really want to commend you. I mean, to take on I don't know I have that ability. I can sing a little bit, but and I can act a little bit, but I don't know I can direct and all that kind of stuff. So really want to
It's
commend you
something
for
natural in me.
really want to commend you for that, and we look forward to seeing that movie on Friday. All right, so great to have you. Any closing words you have? Maybe something you'd like to leave with the youth as you go off tonight, and as we prep for the next segment. Anything you'd like to just leave with us?
Okay, I would like to tell the mothers first, right? To encourage their children to watch this movie.
Mhm.
Then now I would like to the youth of themselves. That if you know that you have something that you like that is positive, a skill, a talent, don't let nobody deter you from that skill or that talent, because that's what God give you to carry you further in life, and you got to recognize it. It may be sometimes it's more than one, sometimes it's two, three, but sometimes one branches out to many. So that's
Yes.
one main key points to build your foundation on. Don't build it on looking to come and following other people what is do, begging people if they don't until you curse them and attitudes and all that. They keep away from the bad attitudes. Even if somebody says something or do you something wrong, keep away from the bad. Don't go with the negative. Don't follow the
It's not
negative.
worth it. Not worth it.
Right. Stick with the positive, because it leaves. Cause that boy don't might not even care about their life, but you might care about your life, and you got caught up, and then you lose it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
mother is paying for a mother to know she bring a child in this world. She take 9 months and take care of you, raise you, spend all this money, run here, run you don't feeling good, and run to the doctor, run, and then for you to take the same life that she bring you here in this earth, that you won't take it and just go and waste it away.
Yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
want to thank you so much. Appreciate your words and appreciate this movie. And we really look forward to seeing it on Friday. So God bless you, my brother. Really
Yeah.
great. I've had you on with us tonight and look forward to sharing with you on Sunday evening. All right. I'm going to be looking for you in that solemn walk. So we want to thank you so very much for being here with us tonight. Blessings,
Thank
my
you.
friend.
Thank Mark your weeks also to keep up the good
God
work.
bless you, buddy. Good to see you. All righty. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Well, we are moving toward our segment now of your calls. You know, Marcy has developed a segment with you here on the Marcy Week Show. We're taking your calls and I want to hear what you have in terms of your input. And I understand we have a caller on the line.
Go ahead. Hi, good night.
Yeah, good night. Good to
Good
hear
night
you.
good night to the show, and good night to all the moderators on.
Good night. Good night.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Recovered well from my rest.
That's good. I'm
Thank you
glad to hear
so much.
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm just calling to share my experience just a couple hours ago. So I live in Christchurch, and all I would say is I live downwind from what I heard.
Oh, wow.
So I was sitting in my patio, just just relaxing, because actually tonight was one of the cooler nights that I've experienced so far outside. So we decided, my neighbor and I, we were in our patio sitting and talking, and then she left and went inside. And I heard, interestingly enough, some explosions, and I was like, I might have heard them before. So I said to myself, these sound like gunshots. And I quickly hurried inside because being downwind from gunshots and the way that nowadays people are driving, but I didn't want to be outside in case people were fleeing where the shots were and past my area, so I hurried inside quite quickly. And then I realized I actually started to investigate. I started to call people up that side and even my family further up in Christchurch. And my aunt, she actually confirmed that there was a shooting. And then seconds or so later, I would have seen it officially on the website at one of the media houses. But it was kind of scary experience, to be honest, because just being out there, and I mean, before you would hear them and you would be comfortable that probably just somebody fooling around with a gun. But nowadays, when you hear these things, you actually know caution that something could be bigger. Especially when, like I said, I know where I heard the shots sound very close. So I didn't know if I expected a car speeding through my neighborhood next or what. So I quickly turned off my light and went inside.
Right. Of course, we've had, I think it's that Therese Caesar event that we have upcoming. I believe that was a collateral damage, if my mind serves me correctly. Is something, where persons get hit. They're not the intended victims, but they happen to be in the area. You know what I'm saying? And we've heard of one or two things happen recently with regards to that. But caller, tell me, in your estimation, what do you think we can do? Because you if you live in the area, from what I've seen on the reports, it seems to be an area where there has been a bit of gang rivalry. What would you, in your opinion, be some of the things that can be done to help to alleviate and bring that kind of thing to conclusion in your area?
Actually, so this is, like I said, I'm downwind, so but I know the neighborhood well. I have a vested interest in the neighborhood, and one of the things that I started doing was reaching out to churches in the area, because I don't care how much we try to run away from it. I believe that this is a spiritual battle as much as it seems to be physical. There's a root within the spiritual realm that we need to deal with. And I think that churches in the area have a responsibility to come together on a common cause and deal with it, because on our own, physically, we're not going to solve the problem. We're fighting a battle that, as they say, is not flesh and blood. So we need to really band together and there's several churches in this area. I mean, we don't lack for churches in this area for sure. And the various denominations, yes, but what I've seen, even in another Christchurch community not far, I've seen some of the churches come together. In the last 2 years, they've been doing a lot of work together, including a Warriors Night session that they had together at the pavilion. And I would like to see that on this end as well, where churches come together and try to tackle the problems that we're facing, because, like I said, that's the only way we're going to be dealt with. If we're real, that's the only way that they're going to be solved.
Well, there is a spiritual aspect to that. There can be no doubt. But one of the things that have been running through my mind are, what are some of the practical things that churches can do, in terms of meeting with young people, talking with them, finding out their interests, their dreams, seeing what they can do, to help advance some of the dreams. I mean, it doesn't always need a lot of money to do that.
Ferdinand, is that a lot of it is linked to unemployment as well, huh? And I find that there are too many persons out there who are doing the work, as in they might be going to university, they're going to school, and they're coming out fully educated, but then there's still nothing to do. So I find that that's one of the major problems. And one of the things that I find for this area has a very strong farming background. And that's something that we need to probably push farming entrepreneurship, because a lot of people might shy away from the hard work that comes with farming, but there are lots of other areas that we can get into when it comes to farming in terms of agro processing and the other areas where we start to do the offshoots from packaging and that sort of thing. So there are lots of other areas that you can get into as a community and create jobs, because I think that is one of the biggest problems. When the old people have a sweet way of seeing things, and they always say that the devil find work for idle hands, right?
Hands to do, yes.
So when the hands are idle, that's when they find other ways to, and then when people aren't working and they're embraced on the block culture tends to be a lot more embracing sometimes than even in church. Yes. So you will find that they feel welcome in those areas. But if you find that you can have a program in a church that welcomes you the same way, and or a community organization, not even if not a church, but a community organization can then bring these groups together and try to work with them, try to create job opportunities. That could go a long way as well.
Yes, yes. And tell me, what about the feelings of people in your area? Do you find the people of your area are living with a sense of fear? Are they
I can say that for sure, because I've heard, I'm close to somebody who worked with a camp in the area, and I know that they confess that the students said that they have to be inside. It's like self-inflicted curfews now. So you're inside a lot earlier than before. You're not able to go any past and all like before, because you're now instructed to be inside much earlier and to be safe. I messaged a few people closer to the area, and that was my last thing I said to them: be safe, because nowadays, like you said, you don't need to be involved in the racket, but sometimes you get caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, the crossfire.
Children being shot and stuff recently. So that is where we are, and that's where we need to get away from.
Right. And of course, the whole aspect, I agree with you in terms of the churches, but, there are also times I feel that there is a community responsibility, I think, that businesses have as well. People who run businesses and so on, living areas, you know what I'm saying? And they actually run businesses. Correct. And I think there's a need for some creativity to be brought to bear. That would help some of the young people, as we were just chatting with Bongo Lights. You have your dreams and your aspirations, but what are they unless somebody sits down with you and talks with you and tries to provide some kind of an avenue that maybe you can begin to explore your dreams, and with technology today, as I'm sure you sound like a younger person, I'm sure you're
saying that too, because I mean, even as business people, they need to realize that as much as they might not want to admit it, it impacts on them as well, because a lot of the businesses in the area probably closing a lot earlier than they used to before as well. So that's an impact.
Yes.
So when you said come together as a community, you're very right, because it's not just the church. And I, as a church fan myself, I hear people always blaming the church, because you blame the church when a lot of people start going to church. So how can you really blame the church? But I think churches still have a responsibility. But I'm not one that blame the church, because we have, I teach and I see that a lot of people choose not to go to church these days. So really can't blame the church.
But I've always subscribed to the perspective that the church is people, and it's about people. It's not about the building and that kind of thing. And people who go to church should be able, when they leave the church, to be able to bring some influence within their what we call their oikos, or their sphere of influence, and bring those teachings that we would have received within our churches, bring those moral qualities and those values to the people in our community as we interact with them, you know. So I usually carry that on. Well, listen, caller, it was really thank you for calling in and sharing with us concerning this regrettable shooting we had. And we look forward to hearing from you in the future. So God bless you and thank you so much for calling.
All right, thank you.
God bless you. Bye-bye. I just checking to see if we have any more.
But you know, I will subscribe to the.
Hello. Hello. Yes. Hello, caller. You there? Okay, and not hearing that one. Don't forget 236-7000. You're free to give us your calls. Just dial the number and they'll get you through to me. I'm not the most technologically advanced guy, but you know I leave that with Dave and his team to do that.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm not bad, Pastor Ferdinand. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well, thank you. Yes, sir. What can you
I just want to deal with the crime issue. What we have presently is blatant murders. It's not like two persons fighting and some person get injured and the person dies. It's a type of mental situation in which people just think that they can take the life that God has given to humanity without any thought or care. And I think that if we are going to address this issue, it must be addressed from the point of view that we are dealing with a mindset that has no respect for life. And therefore, circumstances, like things like this happened in the past. We had a situation in the past, and I sort of looked at it from the scriptures, in which at that time Cain had killed his brother. And when he did so, when God came to speak to him, he says, well, look, I'm my brother's keeper. And then he became afraid because he said that his life would be taken by others who would want to avenge his brother. And therefore, the Lord says, well, look, I'm going to put a mark on you that no person would hurt you or would kill you. And then the whole history of his life and what occurred ended up with the humanity saying to God, I don't want anything to do with you. I think it's found in the leave us alone. Destruction of the world that was then known, with God as trying to save whoever he could by offering that any man who was willing to come could come into the ark and be saved. I found that directly after that flood, God instituted a law. It was a civil law because it was the law which said to humanity at that time that since you cannot give life, if you take life in that type of way, then your life should be taken. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11, the wisest man says, when a crime is not punished quickly, people feel it is safe to do wrong. And therefore, what we have presently is that the whole implementation of the penalty for taking a man's life is so drawn out and lengthened that people can kill and walk the streets within a couple of months. And when you find that these things occur, when the sentence is not executed quickly, people feel that it is safe to do this, get on with this kind of behavior. So I'm of the opinion that persons who willfully and for money or for territory would want to take the life of an individual which they cannot give, then that individual, his life should be taken. Now, he can confess his sins and be saved, and be forgiven. But because he cannot give life, his life should be taken. You'll find in other countries where when crime is, for instance, in the Muslim countries and in some of the Eastern countries, when crime has been done, is done, and the judgment and the execution of that judgment is swift. You do not get the level of recurrence of that type of crime in that society, because they understand that crime must be punished. You cannot play with crime because the mind the minds behave in such a way that it will continue. It will be very callous in regards to the activity, that criminal activity. And I think that the whole world has gone in such a way in which they're saying that, you know, the penalty, the death penalty must be taken off the statute books. But the United States of America has not subscribed to that particular agreement. And persons who commit serious crimes in some of the states, their lives are taken whenever they are found guilty. And I'm not saying that there are people who will continue to do it, but all I'm saying is I think that within you had a situation in Barbados some years ago, in which a famous politician's family was murdered.
Yes.
And I think it was within a short space of time that the individual who committed the murder was hung by the gallows. And at that time, crime went down to zero.
Yeah. Well, you know,
so I don't know. That to me is the best way to deal with this present situation.
Well, thank you so much.
Appreciate the mind of the individual.
Yeah, we appreciate you making a call and sharing your view on this.
And have a care for the lives of the individual that they're taking, that they must handle it in such a way that the punishment must be swift and it must be exact.
Yes.
The person who execute those types of things, or their lives ought to be taken. And that is my contribution, sir.
Well, thank you so very much. We appreciate you sharing with us tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless. We have another caller. Any more callers with us? Dave? Just remember 236-7000. We are taking your calls and your input, your contributions to the show tonight, not just in terms of the chat. Of course, you know, we try to follow the chat and share some of the comments that you're making. Clearly, there is much concern in our country. And as I began the show tonight, you know, I began with, in no uncertain fashion, holding the feet of the Attorney General to the fire, holding the feet of the Prime Minister to the fire. We need answers and we need things to be done, action to be taken. You know, I am mindful of the country of El Salvador, and you can Google it for yourself. There are people, and I'm amazed as to how you know, people are so quick people are so quick in terms of what he is doing in El Salvador, but you know, he has taken a very, very aggressive position to gang violence in El Salvador. He's built incarceration prisons there and putting them in jail. And as a result, in El Salvador, which was one of the most dangerous countries in the world, that it's now become one of the safest countries, and I understand the safest country in the Western Hemisphere, going from being one of the most, if not the most dangerous country in the hemisphere. But the perspective of things like the death penalty, you know, one of the things that I've always viewed the death penalty as is not simply a deterrent. God indicated it was supposed to be a reward. If you take somebody's life, yours, and under conditions, certain conditions, yours should be taken. It wasn't set there necessarily to deter in the future, because you did have situations with what they call what is called today sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities, you did have those back in those Old Testament biblical days, where a person, if a person committed something like manslaughter, they could flee to a city where they could live, but if they left that city, they were aggressively charged. So the question we would want to ask then is, do we want to see the death penalty reintroduced in Barbados? Do we feel, I do agree with the caller's view that because justice is slow to act, it's not taken seriously. I mean, we have people who are out on bail having committed 2 and 3 murders. I'm told we have people who are still sitting for their cases to be heard now 10 years later. I mean, when these kind of things happen, people don't take the legal system seriously, and they don't pay attention to justice. And so, should we have the death penalty reintroduced? Is that something we want to see happening? Is it that we need to see the law executed expeditiously and quickly? What is the view that we want to have in our country in order to haul back the madness that we are seeing happening in our country? That's what the scripture says. When justice is slow, and when it's not acted and enacted quickly, then people don't pay attention to it. And so we want to really see what we can do in terms of establishing speedy activity when it comes to these matters. I'm told that there is deficiencies in the judicial system from a personnel standpoint. I think I've heard Mr. Franklin speak to this in a couple of our programs. And of course, when you have overburdened justice system, you have cases that are pending for months and years, and all the time, people are enjoying the wonderful hotel facilities at Dodds, living wonderfully. So yes, justice delayed is justice denied. And so we need to see these things speedily engaged. So don't forget then, 236-7000. We're open to your calls. Give us a call, make your contribution here on the Marcia Week Show. Remember the upcoming events that we've been sharing with you, the Solemn Walk on Sunday at 3 o'clock. That we're going to be having starting right outside of the Freedom Park. That's right across from the old Empire Theatre, and around up through Wellington Street and Nelson Street, and back around to Freedom Park again. And we want to invite you to be a part of that. And to wear white, and we're calling on all Barbadians to join us. This is not the person that spoke to me today told me, that it's not a political matter. It isn't a political matter. It's a national crisis. And that is why we need to hear from the people we have elected to office to take care of things of this nature. I heard the Minister of Education speak about how, just make sure I get her quotation accurately, because I don't want to misquote her. But tonight we heard her talk about how public workers, people who work in the public service, there are no entitlements. If you're working in the public service, the government can move you around as they wish. But that's not the issue we have. The issue we have is how it is executed, which is incompetence and mismanagement, and all of these things, believe me, contribute to the instability within our country. What is happening in our educational system, where we find people not fulfilling the level of education that is necessary, that could inevitably have effect upon their futures. Now, some of you are asking me about Kimar. We are trying to reach him, that he can conclude his presentation, because we do want to hear from him, but we're trying to reach him. Don't know if we're having a challenge in terms of his internet connection, because our connection with him was really very, very disjointed with a lot of static and echoing and so on. So we are trying to reach him to see if we can get him back on tonight. And I'm keeping tabs with those who are making that effort to see when we can get him back on. But in the meantime, we are certainly open to your calls, and we are waiting you 236-7000 to give us a call. Then, of course, we also want to remind you of that Tariq Caesar event that is scheduled for Saturday, the 21st, International Day of Peace. And this is going to be this is the Tyrese Caesar Foundation. Let's glow, GLOW, let's glow together for peace. And this is going to be at the Sea Rocks Dome. And this is located, let me see here, Maxwell Coast Road in Christchurch. All right. And this is going to be the 21st. This is this coming Saturday at 7 p.m. And of course, I believe Miss Tyrese's mom lost him to gun violence. I believe something like collateral damage, really, in the sense that he was not really a target, but happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so we want to, let you know of that event, along with that walk on Sunday, and that's going to be at 3 o'clock. All right. And of course, we also want to let you know of the registration for the Praise Academy dance. Okay. We want to remind you of the Praise Academy dance group that will be, registrations are open, and the registration ends on the 21st of September. Classes actually start on that day. They're 10 weeks, and they offer classes in ballet, modern, Afro pop, and dance fusion from ages 3 up to 20, and in open class sessions. The contact numbers for them, 436-7000. 236, my apologies, 236-7000 and 244-4355, 244-4355. Well, we've been trying to reach Kimar, but he seems to be really having a challenge getting back in, probably an internet issue where he's located, and we will try again on Wednesday to get him back in to complete that presentation that he was making tonight. Of course, as you know, our concern lies within the context of the cybercrime bill, and as I was mentioning to you, this is not a matter to be taken lightly. I was a part of the presentations that were made to the Joint Select Committee. There were persons, Nigel, I think his name is Nigel Harper, made a phenomenal presentation cautioning the government, the Barbados, the legal fraternity in Barbados, cautioned government with regards to it. And what we saw was that government went back into Parliament, taking the contribution of many people from around the country and from outside of the country, and rather than pulling back and readdressing the matter, proceeded to increase the penalties to $100,000 and 10 years in prison. I mean, what insanity are we going to be having where this is concerned? So these are things that we need to stand up against. We see what is happening in places, as I mentioned, like the United Kingdom. We see what's happening in places like Australia. We've just seen things in terms of other countries where these things are being played out. Some countries in Africa where opposition leaders were imprisoned because they spoke out against the government. And that really, at the end of the day, Neil Harper, thank you, Judith. My apologies, Neil Harper. Made that tremendous presentation to the Joint Select Committee, and it was like nobody has said anything. It's like nobody has. We had Anthony Green from Starcom representing the media raise concerns with regards to the cybercrime bill. It's like nothing has been said. And it appears, I don't care what you all say, this is what we're going to do. And I do have a I do have a clip. I don't know if Dave would have it, with the Prime Minister fundamentally indicating that she was not interested in having an opposition because, you know, if you vote for an opposition, you may get a government that you don't want. And I don't know why she would have said that, but that is indeed what has occurred. We have voted for the opposition, and we have got a government that we thought would have been, and many people thought that would have been of great value to the country. But what we have seen is a continuous push of an international global agenda upon the people of this country. We saw that happen through the pandemic. We saw that occur. We saw a lot of what was spoken against and we were advised against. But instead of that, they went with what the World Health Organization pressed. And I was happy to see the US Congress indicate quite clearly that they are not prepared to sign over the sovereignty of the United States of America to an organization of people who were never elected by the people of the United States. And I sincerely hope and pray that our government takes the same position and does not sign over the sovereignty of our country to the hands of an element of international agencies that have not been elected by the people of Barbados to represent us. And that really is the bottom line. So we have the situation, as I mentioned earlier, where the Minister of Education spoke about the matter of entitlement, and I made the point, we are making it clear that there's no entitlement for government either. All right, and I see that that video back up again. I'd like you to replay that again for me, Dave, so that the people can hear from an international perspective what is the view of this cybercrime bill. And it's clear that the Barbados cybercrime bill is specifically designed to kill free speech, so that we would not be able to come on this show and criticize the government. So Dave, play that video for us, please. Let's hear it.
Let's talk about how Section 20 of the Cybercrime Bill changes the definition of cyberbullying. Usually, cyberbullying is about clear behaviors like hate speech, threats, defamation, and extortion. These actions are easy to identify, but Section 20 broadens the definition of cyberbullying by including things like causing anxiety and emotional distress. This makes it more subjective and harder to determine what counts as cyberbullying, leading to challenges in how the law is enforced and interpreted. This expansion could create inconsistencies in how cases are handled. Know your rights. The cybercrime bill in its current form must be cancelled.
Absolutely, absolutely. In its current form, it should not go forward. And, you know, I will tell you that if I am a part of any governance in the country that has the ability and power to govern Barbados, one of my first recommendations, and my first recommendation, whether I'm in a position to or not, is a repeal of this bill. Repeal it and amend it. And change it. We are aware of the fact that we already have legislation in place to deal with matters of computer misuse and to deal with matters of defamation. And so the question has to be asked, why do we need a cybercrime bill? What is the purpose? What is the motive? And we heard a particularly young man several months ago in a presentation in one of the government's constituency meetings make it clear that the ministers have to be protected. So technically what you're saying is that you're putting that cybercrime bill in place so that we cannot criticize the ministers responsible for the sewage mess on the South Coast and what we are investigating as the public with regards to the uses of 89 million Barbados dollars. It seems that we are dealing with a government that doesn't seem to think it has a need to be accountable to the people. So don't forget 236-7000, call in and let's hear your views. We had a caller a moment ago make mention of the reintroduction of the death penalty. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Give us a call 236 7000. I don't know if Davis, that's the same. If that's the same video, or if that's another, that we can listen to it for a moment, please. So just go right ahead while we are waiting these calls.
These voices play a vital role in public affairs, but criminal defamation laws can be used to shut them down. International bodies like the European Court of Human Rights and the UN Human Rights Committee view criminal defamation laws as unjust and against human rights. Many countries have already abolished criminal defamation and only deal with these issues in civil courts. Additionally, cybercrime laws like the Budapest Convention don't cover malicious communications. It's time to rethink these outdated laws and ensure they don't silence essential voices.
So very, very important. Some of our young people that we have had sharing in that solemn walk on Saturday, a couple of Saturdays ago, their voices could not possibly be heard if the cybercrime bill was passed. You wouldn't hear it here on the show. You wouldn't hear it on YouTube and Facebook. As a matter of fact, we have YouTube pulling down some of the videos that are dealing with governmental pushback and claiming that it is a violation of their community guidelines. So we have a lot of attempts by governments around the world, and don't fool yourself, Barbados is being pushed into this direction. We have a lot of the influence of the Chinese in Barbados at the moment. We're borrowing a lot of money from them, but it comes with warnings. People are cautioning and warning the Caribbean that these loans come with conditions from a communist country. And so we have to be so careful how we embrace and we just acquire loans from different environments which in the end of the day could be very detrimental to our country and our future development of the country. And so we want to be careful with regards to how we embrace all these international demands and requirements and legislations that we want to come and impose upon our people. I can tell you that this cybercrime bill did not begin in Barbados. The essence of its genesis is not here. It's outside of this country, especially as a result of the pandemic, where people who were trying to share the truth were being targeted and being referred to as conspiracy theorists and people who shared misinformation. Only now for it to be revealed that we were actually telling the truth. And as a result now, and you're not hearing anybody saying anything now, when we were trying to tell the truth, everybody's tail feathers were up in the air, trying to shut us down and tell us we're misinformation, false information, we're lying, and we're speaking. Even one of our leaders speaking in an interview with, I think it was Amanpour, talked about the fact about how government has to control information. And that is what the cybercrime bill is about. It's about government controlling information so that you will, and it's the same thing happening in the United Kingdom, so that you cannot share information other than what they permit. And these are some of the reasons that we need to be very strong in our pushback. Dave, go right ahead. I can't see if that's a video because of the banner, but the question is asked, are you tired of the motley government? And of course, as I said, you can give us a call, 236-7000. Don't hesitate. We are, nobody's going to record your number and share it with anybody. Government is supposed to be a facilitator, not controlling. You're right, Jacqueline, not controlling information. Go right ahead, Dave, and share the video.
Breaking news. The Joint Select Committee has submitted its report on the Cybercrime Bill 2024 to the Senate as of August 7th, 2024. Despite numerous submissions challenging the constitutionality of several provisions, The committee has not only upheld some of the contentious language, but has increased fines and prison terms and retained the criminal libel clauses. What does this mean for you? Let's dive into how this bill could change the game, especially for our youth and online freedom. Did you know that the new cybercrime bill is cracking down hard on young people? 1/3 of internet users are under 18. So these are the persons who will be at serious risk. This bill doesn't hold back. Even school kids could face severe penalties under Section 20 for cyberbullying, with punishments that many say are way too extreme. The harsh consequences are being called disproportionate, especially since it's likely our teens who will be most affected. The government needs to rethink these harsh measures and consider age-appropriate punishments. Shouldn't we be focusing on helping our youth, not just punishing them?
Oh, very good question. Should we be focused on helping our youth rather than just punishing them? And this is the problem we have. You know, it is ridiculous to think that a person can prosecute you for hurting their feelings and offending them. And you know, I want to challenge the church on this cybercrime bill. We have not heard the leadership of the church, either the Barbados Christian Council or the Barbados Evangelical Association or the bishops of the individual denominations, voice their objections and or concerns to this cybercrime bill. And I am warning all of you that if you do not do so and this bill is signed into law, you are going to be at risk preaching the gospel on YouTube, Facebook, and on social media, because the gospel is an offense. It speaks against immorality. It speaks against homosexuality, lesbianism, and transgenderism. It speaks against a lot of these aspects of violence and so on. It speaks against it. It speaks against injustices and all these aspects of morality. And what you are going to find is that you are preaching your message in your church, hearing it on YouTube and Facebook, only to have the police pull up and arrest you, as they have done recently in the United States. There was a gentleman a minister that went out to read the Bible publicly, and he was arrested. He was arrested for reading the Bible in the public. There was a woman in England standing outside of an abortion facility, silently praying, and they arrested her for silently praying. I mean, folk, this is the world in which we are living in today. And while there may be some of you that may not be amenable to the matters of faith, and that is entirely your right, there are many of us who have matters of faith of all types of religious backgrounds, who believe and who feel that we have a freedom to share our faith and to share what we believe. And this cybercrime bill is threatening that. And so I am sending out a word of caution tonight to the spiritual leaders of our country that they are going to have to take a stand. At some point in time, you're going to have to do it. Okay, so we need to see you come forward and do the right thing, represent the people who you have been given the responsibility. There you are, seeing the gentleman online. Thank you, Dave, for pulling it up, for reading the Bible. He was outside of a protest area, and he went out simply reading the scripture to the people passing by. Of course, he was assaulted. And rather than putting the people who assaulted him under arrest, because you are not supposed to lay your hands on anybody under the law in the United States, the police arrested the man upon whom hands were laid and called that justice. All right, so you have the evidence before you there for you to see. we want to remind you as well, and we appreciate so much all that you have contributed to the causes that we have been working with over the last several months, the marches that we've had. Of course, you know, it does cost to have the truck and the sound systems and the police support. Those are things that have to be paid for. We do need to raise about another $2,500 to cover the Solemn Walk. And we are asking you that if you're willing to contribute to that, that you can bring the funds to the walk, or you can give a call to 236-7000 for any transfer information which you wish to engage. And also remember to bring a parcel, a bag of non-perishable groceries to the walk as well, because we want to make you know, distribution and contribution to the people in that area. So we're going to be asking if you would be kind enough, please, to walk with a bag of perishable food items, you know, sardines, tuna, corned beef. You've got, you know, things like Kool-Aid. You've got you know, the hot dogs and so on, non-perishable things. That we would be able to gather together. We are going to have some presentations by Emari Brown and by Grateful Company. Malachi, I'm going to call him Malachi Hope. I hope I have the name right. Timon, Howard, Zico, John, and Saruel will be sharing their skills, their ministries, and their music and poetic expressions, some of which I heard on the last solemn march that we were on, solemn walk that we were on, and it was absolutely tremendous. So we want to encourage you as a part of bringing healing to the communities. This is our contribution. The silly political lackey that attacked me today asks what we are doing. We are doing what the government should be doing. We are going out among the community, among the people who are being wounded and hurt and who are being robbed of their brothers and their fathers and their friends. We are going out among them, and we are going there to bring healing to the community. You know, if you want to, well, I'm not going to give away the secret of winning the next general election, because I know what one of those secrets is, and I'm not going to share it here because we want you out. We want you out. So we're encouraging you to wear white. We begin from outside of the Freedom Park to Nelson Street, Wellington Street, right back around again, I understand, to Freedom Park. And we're encouraging you to wear white and to bring some perishable food items. And, you know, there are always those people who want to find out who is behind these kind of things. Well, the Barbados Concerned Citizens are. The loyal opposition, of which you are a part, they're behind it as well. The Walk Holy facility, the Walk Holy band is behind it. Praise Academy of Dance is behind it. The Marcy Week Show, Rastafari Progressive Movement, they're behind it. And the Spiritually Aware Group, they're behind it. And we're encouraging Christians, Rasta, Muslims, everybody. This is a national crisis. And we're encouraging all of us to come out and join this solemn walk on Sunday, September the 22nd, 2024 at 3 p.m. All right, go right ahead, Dave.
Sometimes I feel like the bill's gonna kill me, but I'm still holding on, I'm standing strong with the love soca give me. Cause when I hit on the road, I get to the show, I jump on the stage. When I see your face, I run on the soca, lashing me bread. The lobby problem just vanish away, because right now soca make me jump up, back and I lay me bed. Setting make me walk up, liquor just ease the bed.
What is it that Lyric is telling Barbadians, but is not saying? Did you hear him? Listen again carefully.
Soca make me jump up, back and I lay me bed. Setting make me walk up, liquor just ease the bed, ease the bed, ease the bed, ease the bed.
Do you get it now? Rick is talking about the suffering of the Bajan people. But who is responsible for the suffering of the people? The government. This is why Barbadians love to party. They drown out their pain, the drinks numbs their brain and their pain vanish away. Is there a segment who numb their pain with drugs and guns? Whatever it is, Bajans are in pain and therefore they need to change their leaders, this government. Rick is saying it. Did you hear?
With the love soca give me, cause when I hit on the road, I get to the show, I jump on the stage, when I see your face, I run on the soca, lashing me bread, the love me problem just on the show.
Well, there you have it. That's the position of the government. They're pushing all of these parties and all of these events. Why? So that
Has
we
no
can
interest
have.
in senior people. I'm a senior athlete, but they only come around when they think they will get a vote from seniors. They don't care anything about seniors. They said the other government was bad, but they're worse. They're the worst that ever came about. Because the leader of this country doesn't care anything about seniors and senior activities. They talk a lot about health, but still make a lot of mock sport at the senior athletes who compete at the senior games. They have no interest in seniors. They have interest in their friends and themselves. And when a leader has never even run from here to a bus stop, I can't see how that particular leader could got any interest in senior athletes. Because we are making them look bad because they all of them are big and fat, and we the senior athletes are kind of good physique, and they don't want to see that. They are the worst government. They are the worst. I would like to see back of them right now. And I have no apologies. If they want to come after me, they can come because they have no secret to me. My family don't have no political jobs. They are all professionals. Thank you.
So tell me, caller, what do you think, or why do you think they are worse? I mean, why do you think they're worse than any government we've had before? What would cause you to say that? We lost the caller already. Okay, the caller is gone. Okay, he made mention that he thinks they're the worst government. They're not interested in seniors. You know, well, I tell you. You know, these are the voices of the people. This is not the Marcia Week show. This is the voices of the people who are expressing themselves. And obviously, from what I'm hearing in his voice, he's a senior athlete. And it seems that they have been just cast aside, and the government is not interested in any one of them. And you know, I am at a loss. I mean, our athletes, I believe, could be doing a lot better. Uh, yeah, you're so right. You know, our athletes could be doing a lot better. Our people could be doing a lot better. Facilitate them, and let them be able to improve their conditions of life. I mean, we have situations that, you know, where our costs in supermarkets are astronomical. I was chatting with a lady recently, and she was mentioning to me that every week she goes into the supermarket, she's spending over $1,000, and over $300 of that is just in vegetables. And you know, we're being told about eating healthy, but in reality, because of the high cost of living, the cost of living in Barbados is through the roof. I mean, this is a fact. This is not conspiracy. This is not my own opinion. All of you listening to us tonight, you know what has happened in our supermarkets. You know, even in places like Popular, where people are going into now and they're looking at the shelves and they're hesitating on what they buy for the first time. I am seeing people picking up 2 or 3 different brands, trying to compare. They're not comparing the ingredients, they're comparing the prices to see what they can afford. And this is the condition that we as a country have found ourselves in tonight. You know, and that's the reality of it. You know, there are people who don't want to admit to that, and that is why today, when I posted what Marcia sent to me, I had pushback from a person I call a political lackey, and I hope they're listening to this show tonight. They know who I'm talking to. They know exactly who I'm speaking to, talking nonsense about what am I doing? I'm a reverend. I'm a pastor. What are you doing? Well, for your information, madam, you don't even know what churches have been doing. And there are a lot of churches that have been doing a lot in this country, but we don't call in the media. We don't call in the Barbados Today and whatnot and advertise what we're doing. Maybe we should, but we have been cautioned in the scripture not to let your right hand know what your left hand is doing, or vice versa. And so very often, the things that we're contributing in our communities, people really don't know about. People don't know about the sports activities that we have been carrying on, and our churches bringing young people into our environment through sports, through cricket, through basketball, through volleyball. These are things that we have been doing. What has the government been doing? Show to us. Tell us. Come out and tell us what you've been doing to save the lives of our young people. Instead of that, what you do is you sit in your crystal cathedrals and you express what you feel is what the young people need. You haven't gone and spoken to them. We have now opposition that is now going around the country listening to the people with regards to crime and violence in this country. But what we have is a one-party state. And if you doubt me, listen to the video. Listen to the words. Go ahead, Dave.
There's much talk about voting for an opposition, and I hear it, and I understand Barbadians' sense of fairness. But I warn you that when you vote for an opposition, you may end up with a government you didn't want. Can the country afford that at this time? I say not.
You heard it from the horse's mouth. You will end up with a government that you cannot, that you do not want. Can the country afford it at this time? She says not. Well, the people are saying not too. That is what we're saying. We are not comfortable. We are not happy. We are not satisfied with the way the country is being managed. And rather than playing politics, get your head out of your pride. And I'm being polite. I'm a reverend, right? You don't you don't want me to say some things. I thank God for the Holy Spirit that keeps me under control and holds my tongue. There are things that I could say that are not very spiritual, and I am human, but I'm not going to violate my integrity by expressing them. But you need to get your head out of your pride and your arrogance and listen to the people. Get down and humble yourself. The same entitlement you say that the public workers in the public service are not entitled to, we're telling you, you're not entitled to either. Let's be clear on it. You can be, you say that you can be moved at any time. Well, we want you to know as well that you can be moved at any time. And I'll tell you what I'm going to subscribe to in the days to come. I want to see enshrined in our Constitution a provision made. No, Zaire, you can say that, but I am not in a position to make those utterances. All right. As I was saying, you made me even forget what I was saying. Oh my goodness. Oh, dear me. I am going to advocate for provisions to be made in the Constitution for the people of the country to carry a petition to the president with a certain number of signatures to call an election. I am also going to advocate that elections must be pinned to specific times and dates. Thank you, Marcia. To specific times and dates where you cannot willy-nilly get up and call an election at your feeling when you want it. These are two things I want to see enshrined enshrined in the Constitution, where the people, when the people are not satisfied with the government, they can gather a particular number of signatures and take that petition to the president and have her under the Constitution call an election. And that is those are two of the things that I'm going to advocate for, right? When a date is set for elections, you can't move it. And when there's a government that is displeasing the people, gather a number of signatures and place that petition before the president, and she has to, under the Constitution, accept and acknowledge it and call a general election. Dave, play your video, please.
These are some of the firearms that were actually recovered over the past year. They were actually seized during events like parties, search warrants, as well as vehicle stops, as well as street searches. Pistols, 9mm, 40 caliber pistols, revolvers, as well as we got a few rifles. The rifle that you actually saw is an AK-47 rifle.
AK-47, yes.
We saw the 3D printed models of the status of results and sort of challenges that this force faces in those offices.
Well, that's basically a new challenge, so to speak. We actually recovered that printer at the search warrant, as well as the bottom half, the receivers for the firearms. The printer as such, they are not prohibited, but I think in terms of some sort of, we actually trace or track persons that are actually importing them to see if they're actually being used to make such like the same receivers for the firearms. But at this stage, I can't say it's a major problem as yet, but you can see that persons are generally what some persons may have in mind in terms of bringing in the printers.
You think there needs to be some regulation as to these printers at this point?
Well, I think depending on the nature of person bringing them in, there maybe have to be some sort of regulation put in place at the ports when you see actual printers, 2 or 3 printers being brought in by the same person.
What are the challenges in terms of traceability of these? Do they not present some challenges as it is to traceability? I mean, they're not the barrel of the gun, obviously. The barrel is where you would forensic and applied forensic, but I mean, do they present any challenges because you still have to import the barrel on the top half?
Yeah, well, no, in that form, there's not a major challenge in that form, but obviously you can see that once persons have the idea to create a firearm, you can see as the commissioner said, the demand will be great to try to get the top half and probably try to get the main illegally into the island.
Does it reduce traceability?
They won't be traceable at all because there are no serial numbers, nothing at all. So it's virtually untraceable.
Now I want you to think back. Dave, I don't know if you could go back in that video to the table with the weapons on it. If you could go back to that. The gentleman here is speaking about 3D printers. Now, 3D printers are also used within the context of building developments and so on, you know, in terms of making construction models, that kind of thing. But they can be used for the fabrication of firearms. And that is why the question has been put to the gentleman concerning the persons who are bringing them in. I mean, let's stick a pin here for a minute. I cannot even bring in what you call these things again that they have flying a drone. I cannot even bring in a drone for my grandson to play with in my backyard unless I have the permission to do so. That is my understanding. I just came back from traveling. I was going to pick up a couple of drones for my grandkids to play with, and I remembered something about this, so I left them in the store because I can't bring in a drone unless you are licensed or something of that nature. Now, I believe the same thing should be enacted with regards to these 3D printers, which the gentleman has said is now identified as the creator of weapons. But even more so, these weapons are coming in here somehow, and they're not being brought in here by these people on the block who are using them. They're being brought in here by people higher up the totem pole. They're being brought in here through the Bridgetown port and through the airport, and they're breaking them down and bringing in the pieces separately. People are breaking them down, bringing them separately. How do I know? Because I've talked with people, not just here. I've talked as I've traveled with officials and persons trained in criminality and in this type of thing, and they have shown me how you can break a weapon down to the point where, unless the officer knows what he's looking for, he's not even likely to identify it as a part of a weapon. And that is one of the things that is a bit challenging. But obviously, there are those who are higher up the totem pole with regards to these areas. So we need to be able to identify those persons, um, with those persons with the influence and the wealth to bring them in. I didn't even, we're having such a good time. I did not even realize that we have passed our time for the show tonight. But listen, I want to say to you, we've got to deal with the cybercrime bill. We have got to address it. We have got to push back on it. You've heard the videos that we have shared with you tonight. You can see even this video that we have just watched. Do you know that if the cybercrime bill is passed, we could not show that? This is what the Commissioner of Police in Scotland Yard in London was saying. On the basis of the videos shared on social media of the riots in the United Kingdom, prosecutions were engaged because people showed those videos. And he said that they will go after any and everybody, whether they're UK citizens or not. And so he's trying to go after Elon Musk. Wish him luck. Wish him luck. Well, listen, folk, I tell you, it's been such an exciting time. Yes, sir, Hurricane Writer, you are correct. Some of the officers, I don't just mean police officers here. I've spoken with people, police officers in the United States and persons in Grand Cayman, and yes, they are sometimes mixed among car parts, and you can hardly tell the difference. I mean, unless you know exactly what you're looking for, you're very likely to miss it. So this is very serious. That we are able to continue to educate, continue to share on a platform such as this with the whole aspect of informing you about what is happening in our country. You're not going to hear it from the mainstream media, and you're definitely not going to hear it from government. Okay, so I want to thank you for being with us tonight. Yeah, take your head out of your pride. Um, oh, dear me. I had to be polite, Tamika. I have to be polite, okay? It's what you expect from the reverend. And I'm just going to leave it at that with you tonight. Thank you, ECT. I just want to say how happy I am to be back with you. And again, I want to thank Marcia for trusting me to be able to host this show tonight. Normally we co-host together on Monday nights, but she has released me to host the show on my own tonight, and I want to really thank her for having that faith in me, to be able to trust me with that responsibility, and I thank her for that. But yes, Tironi, we want to play those tunes. We would not be concluding this show just like the beginning, where we have to have the national anthem. We have to close with the two favorite songs that we have. So I want to say thank you to all of the participants tonight, all of you who called in, all of you on the loyal opposition who have made your comments. Thank you for being here tonight. It could not have been possible without you. And we want to thank Rose tonight. We know she had a very short time because we had a tight schedule tonight. We did have some electricity breaks as a result of the electricity going off in the areas with Dave and so on. And we are expecting to have KEMAR back, yes, in Tamika, in another segment on Wednesday. We have indicated that, and Rose also will be back. That little short, brief segment she shared tonight was very powerful and very pungent and on point in terms of what that Minister of Education in England resigned and chose to honorably do as a part of her position of integrity. So we want to thank all of you. Thank Bongo Lights for coming and sharing with us. Please don't forget his video, his movie that is going to be shown. What is it again? Too Young. Let me make sure I get the title correct. Make sure I get this title correct. I'm just looking for it on my Too Young, Too Hot. That will be airing on Friday night on the social media platforms. And as soon as we get the links from him, we are going to be placing them so that you can be a part of the showing of his show his movie on Friday. Remind you again of the classes that start with Praise Academy on the 21st of September. Registration is open. You can register now. You can do so by calling 236-7000 or the other one is 244-4355. And I think if you can scan that barcode, I believe is also possible, and you can be in touch with them. Also, the Solemn Walk, Sunday evening, 3 o'clock, the 22nd of September, beginning at Freedom, outside of Freedom Park to Nelson Street. And of course, as you can see on the screen, on Saturday, the 21st of September, 7 o'clock, the Therese Caesar Foundation is hosting a Let's Glow Together for Peace, all-white charity event at the Sea Rocks Dome, Maxwell Coast Road in Christchurch, beginning at 7 o'clock. So God bless you. Thank you so much. Dave, take us out with those songs that you always, help us to enjoy as we go to the night. Thank you all for being here. God bless you and good night.
Dancers, come forward, walk out. This one I got worldwide.
Just days after former government backbencher Ralph Thorne crossed the floor, he's taken the oath of office as leader of the opposition.
Cross the floor, let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side, cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor, let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Wait here, Ralph Thorne. Dancing, come back again. Our turn is the latest trend. Everybody know link up my friend. This one designed to be
and more will be left over.
Dancing, come back again. Our turn is the latest.
Are these trips so important?
Link up my friend. This one designed to be living our men.
Yes, I'm for real, member. I am for real. Don't let me talk out your business. Don't let me talk out your business. All right.
And I can't decide, so I'm moving with the tide. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. So let me do this now. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. Yes, yes. So let me go now. Cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side, cross the floor.
There has to be some order here.
Cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph.
The Minister of Finance is not party to this present transaction, Your Honor. Ask him to keep quiet, please. And I say to you further, Mr. Speaker, that my conscience, my location here is related to my conscience. I said it last year. It is well with my soul.
Take a wine on the left side, and I can't decide, so I'm moving with the tide, moving with the tide. Take a wine on the right side, take a wine on the left side, and I can't decide, so I'm moving with the tide. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. So let me do this now. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. Yeah, yeah. And let me go now. Cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side, cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne.
That is my man, so whether he cross or in cross, he will always be there for us.
I came to a point where I had to take the decision that if my philosophical and political views do not accord with those of government in terms of its legislation, in terms of its policy, the relationship becomes untenable.
That mass nor English, pretending to be good, pretending to be good, just pretending to be good, pretending to be good, I just pretending to care about people, 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 pretending, and I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English, I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.